Chapter 2584. She said those words with difficulty. To her, relying on others to support her was no different from begging for money. But it was the same for him. He was her man. She was willing to rely on him. Muyaja's eyes flickered a little. He was obviously surprised that she would say that. Why did you say that all of a sudden? He couldn't help but feel doubtful. Yunshishir said honestly, "It's nothing much. It's just that when I came back and saw that you were still working and looked very tired, I thought that if the two of you were busy with your own careers, you would spend less time apart. It's obviously impossible for you to give up your career. A career is a man's pride. However, I can give up my career for you. I'll stay by your side and accompany you until we're old." This was probably the most emotional thing she had ever said in her life. This sentence was full of her deep affection, compromise, and gentleness. Yunshishir emphasized again, "If I don't work, you have to support me." Muyaja suddenly hugged the back of her neck and kissed her deeply. Pressing his lips against hers, he enunciated each and every word clearly, "Little fool. Everything I have was created for you. I swore to give you the best life. Since I said this, I'll do it. Don't talk about the whole world, even I'm yours." Yunshishir couldn't help but be moved. She pursed her lips, held his face, and welcomed his kiss. The two of them kissed each other passionately. Outside the door, the two little lads peeked at the scene in the study through the crack of the door. When they saw this scene, they were overjoyed. The two of them kissed so passionately that they didn't realize that there were two pairs of eyes secretly watching them. Xiao Yichen couldn't stop laughing. He and Yu looked at each other, smiled, and gave each other a high five. "Daddy is so awesome." The night was dark. Yunshishir took a shower and lay on the bed, distracted. Muyaja finished his work and returned to the bedroom from the study. He walked into the shower and after a while, she heard the sound of running water. She suddenly had an uneasy feeling. It was as if she was a tribute that was about to be offered to him. What to do? The woman on top and the man on the bottom. She had never tried this position before. He vaguely remembered that there was a time when he was in the mood and helped her sit on his body. However, she was shy and bashful. She struggled and fell into his arms, unwilling to move. He wasn't too persistent. Although he was more daring and passionate than her in bed, and had also tempted her to try different positions, this position was the only one he had never tried before. It was probably because of her naturally shy personality that she always felt that women were too presumptuous on top of him. It was too hot. Oh my God. Thinking that she was about to fulfill her promise, she became more and more restless. When Muyaja opened the door and walked out, she immediately closed her eyes and hid her restless little head under the blanket. She was so scared that she didn't even dare to breathe. It was so embarrassing. As Muyaja wiped his wet hair, he glanced sideways at the person on the bed who was completely covered under the blanket. He couldn't help but smile. This little fellow, did she think that she could escape this time by pretending to be asleep and stupid? Dream on. There was silence outside the blanket. There was no more movement. Where is she? Chapter 2585. Yunshishir could not help feeling puzzled. She opened her eyes and furrowed her brows. Curiously, she poked her head out of the blanket and saw Muyaja's handsome face leaning close to her. "You're finally willing to wake up." His eyes were filled with mockery and playfulness, looking extremely devilish. Yunshishir's face instantly heated up, and even her body temperature rose continuously. Muyaja nodded and raised his brows, seemingly provoking and inviting her at the same time. "Be good and sit here." Yunshishir really wanted to say, "I can't." However, a certain man clearly did not intend to give her any room to retreat. That night, a certain man finally got what he wanted. He was able to enjoy the seductive look of a certain little woman he had been looking forward to for a long time. He seemed to be tireless and craved for more. After a night of absurdity, he wrinkled the entire bed sheet. When morning came, the man got out of bed, washed up, got dressed, and gently kissed her forehead. When he left the room, Yun Shusher woke up. She got up and looked at the marks on the bed. How could she go back to sleep? She hurriedly got out of bed and washed the bed sheet before the two little guys noticed. She hung it up to dry before returning to the room. She then took out a medicine box from the drawer, opened it, and took out a small pill, which she drank with water. This guy. After an entire night of absurdity, not a single one of them missed, went in. Now, she had no choice but to take the long-acting contraceptive pill. However, this naive woman was completely unaware that the pill in the medicine box was no longer a long-acting contraceptive pill. Instead, a certain black-bellied man had secretly replaced it with folic acid. She was still secretly pleased with herself. Little did she know that with her shrewdness, there was no way she could outsmart a certain man who was even more shrewd than her. Yun Shusher slept for a long time. The two considerate little guys clearly knew that their mommy must be exhausted, so they deliberately did not wake her up. In the afternoon, when Yun Shusher woke up, Yu immediately prepared lunch for her. After finishing her lunch, Yun Shusher finally remembered to meet up with Xiao Shui. Xiao Shui sent a message back, asking if Gao Nan could come along. Yun Shusher immediately replied, "I just want to talk to you alone today, is that okay? Just the two of us." After a while, Xiao Shui replied, "Okay. Actually, Shusher, I was on a date with Gao Nan." Yun Shusher's heart skipped a beat as she suddenly recalled Gao Nan's vile and despicable words in the bar last night. "Marrying her is the best way to repay her for all the love she has given me. If you intend to tell her about this, I don't mind." I'm looking forward to seeing her expression when she finds out about this. Just thinking about it makes me feel that it's quite interesting. Anyway, I'm already tired of her. If she didn't fantasize about marrying me all day, do you think I would want to marry her? Yun Shusher felt extremely uncomfortable when she saw her friend's deep affection for Gao Nan. No. I can't let him hurt her anymore. Yun Shusher's attitude was firm. "I have something to say to you in private." "What is it?" "Gao Nan is also one of us, what can't you say in front of him? Men can't participate in a woman's private conversation. I'll wait for you at the cafe, okay?" Chapter 2586. Okay. It's just as well, we haven't met up in a long time. After hanging up, Yun Shusher suddenly realized that since Xiao Shui and Gao Nan were together, the latter probably knew that she was the one who had arranged to meet Xiao Shui at the cafe. Would he make things difficult for her? Or would he tag along? Then, in front of Gao Nan, Xiao Shui's topic would revolve around her. Women in their honeymoon period had low IQ, but it was not because of their low IQ. It was precisely because of their passionate love that they only had eyes for the one they loved, and the whole world had lost its color. She could tell that Xiao Shui was deeply in love with Gao Nan. If she were to tell her about him directly, would she be able to accept it? She would definitely be heartbroken, right? There was probably nothing more despairing than the fact that the man she loved didn't love her back and even cruelly saw her as a burden. When she saw Gao Nan's true colors, Yun Shusher had the urge to have a good talk with Xiao Shui. However, Mu Yaja had said that it was not for a best friend to say such things. Perhaps, Xiao Shui could use her true love to influence Gao Nan. Although some men were indeed dissolute by nature, when they reached a certain age, they would be tired of indulging in debauchery. At that time, they would want to live a good life and settle down. Yun Shusher was also a little worried that Xiao Shui would not believe her words and even suspect that she had ulterior motives to sow discord between them. Hence, she endured it. However, after last night's incident, Yun Shishir made up her mind that no matter how Xiao Shui looked at her, she must have a good talk with her about this matter. Yun Shishir arrived at the cafe early. As she sat in her seat, she was thinking about how to come clean with Xiao Shui about this matter and mentally prepared herself for Gao Nan's presence. Just as her thoughts were in a mess, Xiao Shui parked her car outside the window. She picked up her handbag and alighted from the car. The moment she alighted, she saw Yun Shishir sitting by the window and waving her hands excitedly. Shishir. Shishir. The two had not seen each other for a long time, and it was rare for them to get together. She ran into the cafe with small steps. Yun Shishir finally heaved a sigh of relief when she noticed that she was alone. It's not too bad. As long as Gao Nan isn't here, the situation will be easier to control, and I can let loose a little. Otherwise, with that jerk around, who knows how he'll mess things up. Xiao Shui entered the private room. As soon as she saw her, she happily hugged her after a long separation. Shishir. I missed you so much. Yun Shishir pushed her away in disdain. She couldn't help but tease, since you missed me, why did you disappear for so long? You didn't even reply to my WeChat messages. You've been missing for so long. Where have you been? I'm thinking about you in my heart. As Xiao Shui spoke, she sat down opposite her. The waiter came over and handed her the menu. Xiao Shui ordered coffee and some desserts. When Yun Shishir saw that she had ordered a lot, she quickly told the waiter, I'll have a cup of rose tea. I don't want the Blue Mountain coffee. Xiao Shui was a little surprised. She had ordered according to Yun Shishir's taste, so why did she change it to jasmine tea? Yun Shishir explained, I haven't been sleeping well recently, and you told me to drink less coffee, so I've been drinking flower tea. Chapter 2587. Oh. I see. Xiao Shui furrowed her brows and asked suspiciously, why can't you sleep well? Is something bothering you? I don't know. It's just that. I feel drowsy and sleepy during the day, so I can't fall asleep at night. You said that it's probably because I drank too much coffee in the past, so I can't fall asleep. That little guy is so considerate. Sure, you're blessed to have such a pair of treasures in your previous life. With that, she passed the menu to the waiter, who then retreated. Seeing that there were only the two of them, Yun Shishir purposely chose a private room with an elegant ambience. At this time, there would be no one around. Thus, she silently deliberated on how to change her words. Xiao Shui, on the other hand, was so excited that she started talking non-stop. Sure, do you know? A while ago, Gao Nan and I went to the Maldives for a vacation. Yun Shishir's train of thought was interrupted. The moment she heard Gao Nan's name, she frowned almost reflexively. The Maldives. Xiao Shui obviously did not notice the change in her expression as she continued to ramble, yes. Do you know? In the Maldives, I saw Gao Nan's figure for the first time. Heavens! I didn't expect him to have such a good figure when he usually wears a shirt. He said that he pays attention to exercise, so he has always maintained a good figure. I was so angry when I heard that, so to maintain my figure, I rarely touch desserts and exercise diligently, but I didn't even have half a cleavage. Yun Shishir smiled in silence as she listened to her. It would be impolite to interrupt her now that she was in high spirits. However, when we were in the Maldives, Gao Nan took the initiative to. Xiao Shui stopped abruptly in the middle of her words, and a bashful look appeared on her face. Biting her lower lip, she looked at Yun Shishir with a conflicted expression. Sure, I don't think it's a good idea to do that before we're married, what? Yun Shishir asked knowingly. Xiao Shui glared at her. For a moment, she was too embarrassed to say that word. After struggling for a while, she gritted her teeth and stomped her feet in anger. It's that. That. If you don't make it clear, how would I know what you're referring to? Xiao Shui was depressed. She mustered up her courage and said, Sure, do you remember what I told you before? I swear that before I get married, I will never have that kind of intimate relationship with a man. Yun Shisher smiled. Yes, you did say that before. At that time, I even laughed at your conservative views. But that's what I really think. A woman's first time is given to the man she loves most on her wedding night. Isn't that the most beautiful gift? Yun Shisher disagreed. Do you think of yourself as an object? I didn't mean that. Xiao Shui blushed and said, I just feel that the progress is a little too fast. In my heart, marriage is sacred, and so is the first night. It should be saved for the most memorable day. So, that day, you rejected him. Yun Shisher raised a brow. When he asked you to sleep with him, you rejected him. Xiao Shui's face turned even redder as she hurriedly denied, no. Chapter 2588. At first, when he pressed me down on the bed, he kissed me so passionately that I couldn't help but respond to him. But gradually, I regained my consciousness and pushed him away, saying that I didn't want to. He was puzzled, and his expression seemed a little cold. He said that I didn't love him enough, and that I wasn't even willing to sleep with him. I felt so wronged and couldn't explain myself. I said that I wanted to wait until our wedding night. And then he asked me what I was afraid of. He said that we had already decided to get married and be together forever. We had also met each other's parents and acknowledged each other, so why couldn't we give everything to each other? I also feel very conflicted. Could it be that my rejection was wrong? Yun Shisher heard this and was silent for a while. Suddenly, she said, you weren't wrong. It's just that you didn't feel safe enough with him. You love him because you love him so much that you've lost yourself. Xiao Shui's eyes suddenly flickered, and she nodded heavily. That's true. I don't know why, but I don't feel safe with him. Sure, you're right. Actually, when it comes to sex, the current era is very open-minded. Even if it's not your first time on your wedding night, if the man loves you enough, the so-called first time doesn't prove anything. On the contrary, even if you slept with him and broke up in the end, it's not a shameful thing. Men have lust, but don't women have it too? On the contrary, women are more easily moved and fall in love. It's easier for them to lose themselves and fall in love. But premarital sex wasn't something that couldn't be seen in the light of day. It just depends on whether he's worth it. If you don't want to, you naturally have your concerns. But not only did he not understand and empathize with you, he blamed you. If it were me, I would be very disappointed. Xiao Shui suddenly fell silent. It's legal for men to have premarital sex. Why can't women do the same? In this era, men and women are equal. As long as it's out of true love, no matter who you sleep with, it's your freedom. As long as you protect yourself and don't get hurt, there's nothing wrong with that. Xiao Shui, this is not shameful at all. However, he said that purely because he's using you as a pastime. If he can even say such selfish words, how important are you in his heart? Yun Shisher patiently asked, Xiao Shui, are you sure that Gao Nan truly loves you? Of course. Xiao Shui said, he said that he loved me. He wouldn't lie. I don't think so. Yun Shisher went straight to the point. Xiao Shui, let's have a frank talk about Gao Nan. I have a lot to tell you about him. Xiao Shui frowned and asked, what do you want to say? Xiao Shui, we've been friends for so many years. There's something I want to tell you. After a pause, Yun Shisher quietly said, Gao Nan isn't a reliable man. He's not suitable for you. Before she could finish speaking, Xiao Shui's expression changed instantly. Yun Shisher's words came so suddenly that she was stunned for a long time, unable to understand why Yun Shishir would say that. Why isn't he reliable? Xiao Shui smiled. He's handsome, tall, gentle, considerate, and has a good family background. Although there are conflicts between us, I'm still very happy with him. Chapter 2589. What do you mean? Yun Shishir pondered for a long time before coming clean. Last night, one of our cast members held a birthday party, and Gao Nan appeared at the party. But do you know what kind of identity he used to appear? Looking at her solemn face, Xiao Shui felt inexplicably uneasy. What identity? Last night, it was Ji Yan's birthday party. I was surprised when Gao Nan appeared, but the next second, Ji Yan went up to him and kissed him. Finally, she walked up to us while holding his arm affectionately and announced that he was her boyfriend for 2 months. Xiao Shui was stunned for a while before she burst into laughter. Shishir, this joke isn't funny at all. Are you making fun of me? Today isn't April Fool's Day. Yun Shishir did not laugh but looked at her calmly. I'm not joking. What I said is true. The smile on Xiao Shui's face froze completely. Suddenly, she tugged at the corner of her lips and forced a smile. How is that possible? Shui, do you really know this man well? Yun Shishir asked nervously. Don't tell me that you still don't know what kind of man he is after being with him for so long. Shishir, you? Xiao Shui asked hesitantly, you're not lying to me, are you? What? Did Gao Nan make you unhappy or bully you in some way? Is that why you're saying this? Xiao Shui replied, he was chatting with me last night. Is there a wound on his face? Yun Shishir suddenly asked sharply. Xiao Shui was stunned. How did she know that Gao Nan was injured? Yes. There's a blood clot at the corner of his eye. Do you know Hua Jin? Yes. I know him. He's the male lead of Lethal Beauty, a very popular costume actor. Last night, in the washroom, Gao Nan touched me and said some humiliating words to me. When I threatened to tell you about his affair, what did he say? He said. Yun Shishir paused and said expressionlessly, he couldn't wait for me to tell you, because he's already tired of you. After dating for so long, you've only hugged, held hands, and kissed. It doesn't matter who you marry. The Xiao family is not a rich family, but at least they're well off. To him, he didn't care who he married as long as the Gao family approved of it. However, after they got married, his wife had no right to interfere with how dissolute he was outside. What did this mean? Shui, this means that after marriage, you will have to guard the empty room and watch him indulge in debauchery outside. Is this the kind of life you want? Impossible. Xiao Shui suddenly clenched her fists in agitation. Her eyes reddened, and even her face was slightly distorted. Sure, this is impossible. He's not that kind of man. You don't know how gentle and considerate he is to me. He dotes on me like a little princess. But at the same time, you're not the only one he dotes on. Xiao Shui. Chapter 2590. Yun Shishir was also agitated. Xiao Shui, wake up. Don't be like a moth darting into a flame just because you love this man so much. Stop it. Xiao Shui stood up with a livid expression and glared at her. She almost lost control and said, he can't do this to me. Shishir, don't be like this. Yun Shishir had expected her to react, but she didn't expect her to react so violently. She frowned and looked at her worriedly. She said nervously, Xiao Shui, we've been friends for so many years. I won't hurt you, right? I'm sorry. Xiao Shui's heart was in a mess. She smoothed her messy hair and suddenly picked up her handbag on the sofa. She said to Yun Shishir, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. I'll leave first. With that, she turned around and, not caring about Yun Shishir's reaction, hastily left like a disheveled deserter. Her footsteps were so hurried that her mind was blank. She bumped into the waiter who was holding the tray. Crash! The coffee and dessert fell to the ground and made a piercing sound. Xiao Shui was so anxious that she was about to cry. She couldn't care about anything else and rushed out of the cafe. Yun Shishir chased after her anxiously. When she saw the waiter squatting on the ground to pick up the pieces, she immediately apologized. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry to have caused you trouble." "It's okay." The waiter looked up and saw Yun Shishir. He recognized her at a glance. Yun Shishir was sitting in her seat, and because the light cast a silhouette on her face, he didn't recognize her clearly. However, when he saw her up close, he exclaimed in surprise, "Oh my God! You're Yun Shishir. Are you the celebrity who acted as Yin Shechuan?" Yun Shishir glanced at Xiao Shui, who had rushed out of the door. She wanted to chase after her, but her arm was grabbed tightly by the waiter. She said to her in admiration, "Yun Shishir, I'm your loyal fan. I've watched your movies several times. Can I take a photo with you? Or, give me an autograph?" "Sorry, I still have something to do." Yun Shishir stuffed $200 bills into her hand and chased after Xiao Shui out of the cafe. However, when she opened the door, she saw that Xiao Shui had already started the car and sped away. Xiao Shui. Yun Shishir chased after him for a few steps, but in the end, she couldn't catch up. She could only helplessly watch the car drive away. She immediately rubbed her forehead in annoyance and bit her lip. She had expected better from him. Xiao Shui drove very fast along the way. Her driving skills had always been good, but now she was a little out of control because of her upset mood. Even so, she still stepped on the accelerator and sped forward. Finally, she stopped in front of the villas. She parked the car and looked out the window. She got out of the car and stood outside the door with a conflicted expression. Gao Nan lived here. Subconsciously, she drove the car here because she couldn't help but want to see him immediately. However, when the car came to a stop, she suddenly hesitated whether she should confirm it with Gao Nan or not. Could what Yun Shishir said be the truth? She suddenly became like a coward and didn't dare to probe further. No matter what the truth was, whether it was true or not, she couldn't accept the result. Chapter 2591. She had given so much of her feelings, so what? What if it wasn't the truth? Gao Nan would definitely doubt her and be disappointed in her. Then, what was Yun Shishir's motive for saying those righteous words? Her heart was in a mess. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she was at a loss of what to do. All of a sudden, she squatted on the ground and hugged her head in agony. Her whole world was spinning, and everything was gray and devoid of color. She didn't know how to face this matter. Should she pretend that she didn't know, or should she cut off this relationship? However, after dating for so long, she was already deeply involved in this relationship. If she insisted on cutting it off, it would be nothing more than cutting a piece of flesh from her heart and causing it to bleed profusely. She would be hurt. She would be in despair. She would completely break down, and then, like a walking corpse, the sky would collapse and crush her mercilessly. However, was it really a good idea to be like a coward and not ask about the truth of the matter? Still, she didn't have the courage and willpower to question Gao Nan about this matter. Thinking about it carefully, indeed, there was something fishy about it. For example, the unfamiliar perfume smell in the car. For example, a long strand of hair on his shirt collar. For example, a bouquet of flowers in the back seat. All of this didn't seem to be untraceable. What should she do, though? How should she face it? Just as she was feeling lost, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Shui. Startled, she turned around in a daze and saw Gao Nan standing behind her. His car was parked at the side, so he must have just returned. "Why are you squatting here?" asked Gao Nan. She stood up awkwardly with reddened eyes. She suddenly didn't know how to face him, and her expression became uneasy. You. Why are you back so early? Didn't you say that you had something to do with the company? Yes, it's already been settled. As he spoke, he sized her up. He was no fool. Knowing that Xiao Shui had turned up for Yun Shusher's appointment, it was not difficult for him to guess what that woman had said to her. He had noticed her abnormality, but he wasn't too surprised. He curled his lips. Why are you standing here? It's already so late. Do you want me to send you home? Gao Nan, Xiao Shui clenched her fists and finally mustered up her courage. Can I talk to you? Talk about what? There's something I want to ask you. Xiao Shui took a step closer and looked at him seriously. I'll be fine in a while. Can I talk to you? The man looked around and said, It's windy outside, why don't we have a seat at my place? Okay. Xiao Shui went home with him. In the living room, Gao Nan calmly brewed a cup of tea and served it to him. He then picked up an apple from the table and asked patiently, Do you want to eat an apple? I'll peel it for you. All right, Xiao Shui smiled, but there was a hint of bitterness in the curve of her lips. He then picked up the apple, sat beside her, and began to peel it silently. Xiao Shui stared at him without blinking. Suddenly, her heart skipped a beat and she quickly turned her gaze away. Damn it, not good. If this continued, she would indulge in his gentleness again. There were some things that had to be clarified. Chapter 2592. As if he did not hear her question, he raised the apple in his hand and raised a brow. Didn't you want to eat an apple? You don't want to eat it. She thought that he was deliberately avoiding the topic because of his guilty conscience. With much difficulty, she tugged at the corner of her lips. Don't avoid the topic, okay? I'm asking you seriously, there's no need to be so secretive, right? He looked at her face without batting an eyelid. All of a sudden, he put the apple aside and placed the fruit knife on the table. Curling his lips into a smile, he elegantly wiped his wet fingers with a wet towel and expressionlessly asked, Do I have to report to you where I was last night? Xiao Shui, am I a criminal or something that requires me to report my whereabouts to you anytime and anywhere? Her face froze for a moment. That's not what I meant. Then, what do you mean? His expression could not help but turn cold. You squatted in front of my house for no reason, looking as if your soul had left your body. You said that you have something to discuss with me. I thought it was something important, but in the end, you want me to report my whereabouts to you? Xiao Shui, you're really interesting. She looked at him with a complicated expression. Flustered, she wanted to explain herself but did not know where to start. No matter how she looked at it, this man did not look guilty at all. Could it be that Shusher was lying? Impossible. She knew Shusher well. She would not deceive her, much less lie. His answers seemed to be evasive. Could it be that he was just pretending to be calm on the surface to gloss over this matter? Just as she was letting her imagination run wild, she heard him ask, Did Yun Shusher say something to you? Startled, she jerked her head up to look at him. What? Weren't you with her this afternoon? He asked again. Don't tell me she said something to you, and that's why you came here to question me about my whereabouts last night? She was confused for a moment. What did she say? There's no need to hide anything. Isn't this the reason why you wanted to talk to me? As he spoke, he walked to the bar counter, took out a bottle of red wine from the wine cabinet, opened it, and poured himself a glass. He then leaned lazily against the bar counter, took a sip, and said, Let me guess. She didn't tell you that I was with another woman last night, and then I cheated on you and betrayed you. Xiao Shui was startled and her face turned pale. After a moment of silence, she nodded and said, Yes. That's what she told me. She nervously looked up at him and asked seriously, "Is what she said true?" Raising a brow, the man shrugged and hummed. "She's telling the truth." He actually admitted it so readily. Xiao Shui found it hard to believe. How could this man be so straightforward? He didn't even try to cover up or make excuses. He didn't even try to hide anything and just admitted it directly. Isn't that what you want? As you wish. That's not it. She broke down and screamed, her eyes turning red. I don't want to hear such an answer. Deny it. Quickly deny it. Conflicted, she thought, I'd rather he lie to me or nervously cover it up. Chapter 2593. But what you've heard is the truth. Gao Nan did not avoid the topic and confessed frankly. Last night was Ji Yan's birthday party. I did have an affair and betrayed you. Well, it's not just Ji Yan. When you weren't in the country, I was bored, so I dated several women. Although some of them were one-night stands and didn't develop into long-term relationships, it's still considered an affair. Gao Nan, Xiao Shui's heart ached even more when she saw him admit it so readily. Do you really understand the man you love? He doesn't care about your feelings at all, so why should he care about you? Yun Shishir's words still echoed in her ears. She hung her head in a daze, her heart aching so much that she felt suffocated. So this is what it feels like to be hurt. So this is what it feels like to be hurt. Once upon a time, when she was in university, a girl in her class who was heartbroken would go to the KTV to drink with her friends. When she got drunk, she would hold the microphone and sing love songs at the top of her lungs with tears streaming down her face. She had always thought that it was quite pretentious. However, when it was her turn to get hurt and her heart ached, she suddenly realized that it was not pretentious at all. It was a kind of despair that felt like the end of the world. Why are you doing this to me? She asked bitterly. Didn't you say that I'm the only woman you love and that I'm the only one in your heart? Do you believe such nonsense? Gao Nan, on the other hand, did not think much of it. He even laughed wickedly, ignoring her sadness and disappointment. The corners of his lips curled up, looking extremely dazzling. Xiao Shui, I'm with you because I've decided that you're my marriage partner. It's too difficult to find someone whom my family is satisfied with, and it just so happens that my parents are very satisfied with your performance. They nodded their heads, so I don't have any objections. Anyway, I don't have any special requirements for my wife. After all, it doesn't make a difference to any woman. Don't you have a heart? She stood up abruptly and glared at him. Don't you have a heart? Don't you feel sad and hurt? Similarly, don't you think about how sad I'll be if I find out what you've done? I don't want you to love me and be with me, but if you don't love me, you can tell me directly. I, Xiao Shui, will not pester any man. If I don't love you, then I don't love you. I won't pursue you relentlessly, and I won't insist on having you. But aren't you playing with my feelings by doing this? Play with her. Gao Nan suddenly let out a sinister laugh. Putting aside his wine glass, he slowly walked up to her and lowered his head to look at her condescendingly. Play with you? Xiao Shui, are you sure that I'm the one playing with your feelings and not you? You. Xiao Shui was so angry that her lips trembled. She stared at him with some suspicion. What do you mean by that? The literal meaning, don't you understand? You're my girlfriend, but as a woman, don't you have any basic awareness? Why are you acting like a chaste and virtuous woman? Does sleeping with me make you lose your appetite that much? What? Xiao Shui was dumbfounded by his so-called reason. What kind of reason is that? This man was even more shameless than she had imagined. Chapter 2594. Why are you playing the role of a chaste woman? Does sleeping with me make you lose your appetite that much? If that's the case, why did you choose to marry me? Or do you want to play soulmate with me? Xiao Shui, do you really not understand that person? Men are creatures who think with their lower body, and I'm even more extreme. I'm not as pure as you, who doesn't have any thoughts about sleeping in the same bed as you. Her eyes widened in shock. So, this is your reason for cheating. At least, other women can warm me up with their bodies, but you can't do anything. He then added, to be honest, I've been impatient with you for a long time now. Yun Shusher probably asked you out this afternoon to talk about this matter, right? Anyway, I'm tired of you, too, and I'm tired of playing the role of a pretentious boyfriend. You can find someone else and don't waste your time on me. Or, if you're willing to continue staying by my side as my fiancé, it's not impossible. After all, it's indeed a little difficult to find a qualified marriage partner. Smack. What he got in response was a stinging slap across his face. The man's face was slapped to one side, and he glared at her in surprise with shock in his eyes. She glared at him and suddenly curled her lips coldly. There must be a limit to how shameless you can be. Gao Nan, I've said before that I have principles when it comes to love. Whether it's wealth or nothing, even if the Gao family falls into poverty, I'm willing to give up everything for you. However, betrayal is the only thing that I can't forgive. The man stared at her in a daze for a long time, and the cold air seemed to have solidified into ice. She didn't want to waste any more time. She wiped away her tears fiercely, turned around, picked up her bag, and left without looking back. Gao Nan touched his burning cheeks and stared at her departing back with an ugly look on his face. After leaving the Gao residence, she opened the door and got in the car. However, she couldn't start the engine no matter how many times she tried. Only then did she realize that she had forgotten to turn off the headlights, and the battery had malfunctioned, so she couldn't start the car. She punched the steering wheel fiercely, as if that was not enough to vent her anger. She punched the steering wheel a few more times before her hands fell limply to her sides. She lowered her head and closed her eyes as she leaned against the steering wheel. Bean-sized tears streamed down her cheeks and wet her shirt collar. How can this be? How can there be such a vile man? She burst into tears. When she recalled Yun Shusher telling her about the man's misdeeds earlier, she did not think much of it, but when she heard the man blurt out those cruel words with her own ears, her mind went blank. Other than hatred, there was even more regret. She Shusher, right. I must apologize to her face to face. She remembered that she had been filming recently, so she decided to go to the set tomorrow and apologize to her face to face. The next day, the set of Extreme Youth was filled with a strange atmosphere. Chapter 2595. When Yun Shusher stepped into the spacious lounge, the people who had gathered and whispered to each other dispersed and returned to their posts with different expressions. Just as she felt that something was amiss, she caught a glimpse of Ji Yen sitting in front of the makeup mirror, silently wiping her tears. Her red and swollen eyes indicated that she had cried. When she saw Yun Shusher, she did not smile and greet her affectionately like before. Instead, she turned her face away awkwardly and refused to look at Yun Shusher. It was obvious that she was a little angry. Yun Shusher was even more surprised. After a moment of reflection, she suddenly realized that Ji Yen had probably misunderstood her because of the unpleasantness at the party last night. Was that why she was giving her the cold shoulder? Then, what's with the other people's reactions? She looked around in confusion, only to notice that many makeup assistants were secretly sizing her up. When they saw her looking at them, they immediately turned away and lowered their heads guiltily without saying a word. There was a moment of silence in the air. It was precisely because of this momentary silence that an extremely sharp voice entered her ears. How dare she still have the cheek to come here? That's right. Interfering in other people's relationships. She's so annoying, why didn't I realize that she's such a person before? Shoo, Yun Shusher's hearing was not that sharp, but she still managed to catch the whispers in her ears. She suddenly sneered and said expressionlessly, "If you have something to say, you can just say it directly. There's no need to whisper and talk about others behind their backs." Just as she finished speaking, the surroundings suddenly became quiet. It was so quiet that only the sound of movement could be heard. Everyone ignored her as if she was invisible. Yun Shishir was angry. "I don't know what kind of rumors I spread before I came to the set. Could it be that Ji Yen spread bad rumors about me in the crew to guide public opinion? It can't be, right? Am I that scheming? Moreover, what happened last night was also an accident." She admitted that Gao Nan's unfaithfulness had nothing to do with Ji Yen. She was also unlucky to have met a scumbag and became a third party, which was not her original intention. Still, it's inappropriate to spread bad rumors about me before the truth is clear, right? What's wrong? You're not talking now. You were whispering to each other just now. What is it that you can't say in front of me? Ji Yen finally raised her head to look at her, but that look was full of resentment, grievance, and even resentment. Yun Shishir's makeup artist couldn't help but say, "Shishir, don't talk about it anymore. You were wrong to begin with." "What did I do wrong?" "You shouldn't interfere with their relationship. Yun Shishir, I used to like you quite a lot. I thought that you were quite straightforward, didn't put on airs, and got along well with everyone, but I didn't expect you to have such a bad personality in private." Ji Yan's assistant said righteously from the side. Yun Shishir was completely confused. Mushi walked in with a stack of scripts and happened to see this scene. She immediately put down the scripts and tugged at Yun Shishir's sleeve. "Shishir, what are you doing here? It's almost your turn to act, right? Hurry up and do your makeup. But, don't stoop to their level." She lowered her voice and said, "I have something to tell you." Chapter 2596. Yun Shishir was still angry and wanted to say something, but Mushi tugged at her again and cautiously said, "Shishir, there must be some misunderstanding. If you say it now, it'll only be disadvantageous to you. Besides, the director is rushing you. You're already so late, you'd better hurry up and do your makeup." Yun Shishir was furious, but she could not delay the filming, so she turned to leave. However, just as she turned around, a discordant voice came from behind her. Are you leaving just like that? Earlier, you were still so self-righteous about what can't be said face to face. Now that we're ready to clear things up, you're leaving because you have a guilty conscience." "That's right. Weren't you so self-righteous earlier? Are you going to run away like a deserter now?" Yun Shishir finally could not take it anymore. She flung Mushi's hand away, turned around coldly, and asked sternly, who was the one making sarcastic remarks earlier. "Step forward." Her voice was like a clap of thunder, and the scene instantly fell silent. She had been in the production team for so long, and no matter who she spoke to, she had always been gentle and rarely raised her voice. Hence, when she showed her inviolable side and her rage, everyone was instantly stunned. No one had ever seen such a cold side of Yun Shishir before. She glared at them, and her originally gentle face turned bitingly cold due to her anger. That pair of inviolable eyes of hers became extremely dignified. Seeing that no one dared to speak or even breathe loudly, Yun Shishir's voice turned even colder. "Is it because I've always been gentle and nice to you all ever since I joined the production team, so you all think that I'm a weakling without a temper?" Mushi was also stunned by her cold side. She stood at the side in a daze and did not react. "What? Didn't you want to confront me?" Yun Shishir snorted. "I don't know who's fanning the flames, either, but I'm warning you all, Yun Shishir, am not that easy to bully. My dressing room is just next door. If any of you have any opinions about me, you can directly confront me in the dressing room. If it is my fault, then I will admit it and apologize. I will even criticize the entire crew. However, if you are making things up out of nothing and fanning the flames behind my back without asking for the truth, I will not be weak to the end. She raised her wrist to look at her watch and then carefully tugged at her sleeve. Even she could not help but be a little wary of Yunshusher's anger. She had never seen Yunshusher so angry before. Shusher, don't lower yourself to their level. I'll take you to get your makeup done. It's too late. Only then did Yunshusher restrain her anger and turn to leave with her assistant. When she left the room, she was still angry and slammed the door shut. Bang! The sound of thunder resounded. Everyone was shocked. After calming down, they looked at each other. Someone whispered cautiously, "What's the matter?" She's clearly the one who's in the wrong. She's the one who's being unreasonable, yet she's still speaking so righteously. Sho! Someone shouted at her. That's enough, stop talking. Don't you see how big a star she is? Only our Ji Yen is a newbie with a small star, so she's being trampled under her feet. Chapter 2597. Ji Yen, don't be sad, someone immediately came forward to coax her. Yunshusher entered the dressing room. After waiting for a long time, her makeup artist still did not show up. The assistant stomped her feet in anger and scolded, "What a fence-sitter. She's really going with the flow. She doesn't even know the truth of the matter and just randomly takes sides. I'll report the situation to the stage supervisor tomorrow and fire her." Enough. Yunshusher said, "Anyway, it's just light makeup. If she doesn't want to do it, I can do it myself." With that, she opened her makeup bag and started applying foundation. She was not very familiar with the technique, but she was very careful. As she did her makeup, she asked, "Mushi, what's going on?" "When I came to the set today, everyone looked at me strangely." Sure, you don't know this, but everyone in the set is spreading rumors about your relationship with Gao Nan. Me and Gao Nan. Yunshusher widened her eyes in shock and turned to look at her in disbelief. "What's my relationship with him?" "Oh, didn't Hua Jin and Gao Nan get into a fight at the party last night?" "Hua Jin said that Gao Nan made a move on you, but didn't Ji Yen leave with him after that?" "As soon as I arrived at the set today, I heard Ji Yen complaining to those people. She said that after leaving the bar last night, Gao Nan told her that you were the one who seduced him. He even said that you coveted his status and wanted to use his power to climb up the social ladder. Everyone believed Ji Yan's words, which is why they're prejudiced against you." It turned out that the party had ended on a sour note after they left yesterday. However, rumors about her and Gao Nan spread among the crew. Many people began to speculate about the reason why Hua Jin and Gao Nan got into a fight. Some said that Yunshusher was a source of trouble and that she must be the cause of it. The next day, before Yunshusher arrived at the set, Ji Yan's assistant told the rest of the crew that Yunshusher was a third party. On the surface, Yunshusher looks pure and innocent. In the end, I didn't expect her to be a shameless third party. These words were unpleasant to hear. Everyone immediately gathered around curiously, and with the intention of gossiping, they wanted to get to the bottom of it. Sobbing, Ji Yen confessed everything that Gao Nan had told her last night. According to Gao Nan, Yunshusher had secretly slipped him a note at the party last night, asking him to meet her in the washroom. Gao Nan arrived as promised, and Yunshusher took the initiative to extend an olive branch to him, saying that she would sleep with him for a night. "I'll sleep with you for a night, and you make me the female lead of Lon Ling's war, okay?" His mother was a senior executive in an entertainment company and had recently invested in a TV series about the Prince of Lonling. Therefore, Yunshusher shamelessly proposed this condition in order to get the female lead role in this drama. For a moment, Gao Nan was bewitched by her charm and could not help but kiss her, which was then witnessed by Hua Jin, who had rushed over. As everyone knew, Hua Jin and Yunshusher had always been ambiguous and were often together. After filming, Hua Jin would directly get into Yunshusher's car. As a result, rumors of their secret relationship spread among the crew. When Hua Jin saw this scene, he naturally flew into a rage out of humiliation. He even mistakenly thought that Gao Nan had raped Yun Shishir, so the two got into a fight. When everyone arrived, Yun Shishir immediately pretended to be an innocent White Lotus and distanced herself from the matter. Chapter 2598. No wonder Yun Shishir has such good resources. It turns out that she relied on such means to get to where she is today. Everyone came to a sudden realization. That's what happened. I heard it with my own ears, said Mu Shi. Yun Shishir furrowed her brows as shock and anger surfaced on her face. I took the initiative to seduce Gao Nan. This script is well written. It's such a pity that I'm not a scriptwriter. She suddenly felt that this was probably the funniest joke she had ever heard. How is that possible? Even if I'm blind, a scumbag like Gao Nan won't have a chance, right? Besides, when it comes to resources, Qin Zhou can get from me whatever Gao Nan can give me. I'm not that cheap. But that's what Ji Yen said, and she even said it as if it's true. I was so angry when I heard it that I retorted a few times, but a bunch of people refuted me. In the end, I couldn't be bothered to argue with them anymore. Sure, don't think that you're really popular just because you treat them well in the production team. You've had such good resources since your debut, so people must be biased against you. They may treat you kindly on the surface, but who knows how many sugar daddies are secretly supporting you. Mu Shi paused for a moment. I know that you'd never do such a thing. Ji Yan's exaggeration is so exaggerated, yet people actually believe it. You took the initiative to seduce Gao Nan. Then, what is Mr. Mu and Xingze? Either of them would be able to completely crush Gao Nan if they were to step forward. But they are all fence-sitters. After hearing a few words, they really believed it. Based on what? Yun Shishir was furious. That's slander. Sure, this is showbiz. There are plenty of people who kick you when you're down. Mu Shi continued. Plus, you've starred in quite a few popular IP dramas since your debut. The scripts, drafts, and fashion resources you've taken on far outstrip all the other starlets. Even Lin Ji is completely suppressed by you. They must be jealous of you, so they speculate and make up stories about you in private. Originally, I didn't get too close to them. Everything had its limits. I was just more friendly to them. I thought that with such a way of getting along, not to mention accumulating good karma, I wouldn't make enemies on all sides. You're too naive. What about Hua Jin? Yun Shishir asked out of the blue. He was at the scene yesterday and saw the scene between me and Gao Nan. They said that I was just quibbling, so Hua Jin's words should have some credibility, right? Isn't Hua Jin injured? Mu Shi asked. Because of the bruises on his face, the director asked him to recuperate at home. After all, he's in the end, the director's, that's why he's on leave. Oh, so he's on leave. If it Xingze Shishir, Mu, Shishir, Ishi, Shishir, Mu Shi took the foundation from her and sighed. Let's finish filming first. I was angry when I heard it, but I can't make things difficult for myself. She had learned a little makeup before and her skills were not bad. Yun Shishir calmed herself down and took a deep breath before she slowly curled her lips. I'm a little surprised if those words really came from Gao Nan. Although Gao Nan is notorious for his misdeeds, he's always been honest and upright, so he won't blame me for something as ridiculous as this. You knew him before. She could not help feeling surprised. Chapter 2599. Yes. He's my best friend's boyfriend. Ah, boyfriend. Mu Shi's hand paused for a moment. Boyfriend. Or ex-boyfriend. Boyfriend. They're dating, and they've been dating for a long time. Up until yesterday, the two were still dating. Then, he's been dating Ji Yen for 2 months. Yun Shishir explained, that's why I was so angry when I saw him at the party as her boyfriend. Scumbag. Mu Shi exclaimed in realization. No wonder you were so surprised to see him yesterday. The look in your eyes was weird, as if you were very angry. Yun Shishir said, I've seen Gao Nan's flirtatious behavior. He did have feelings for me before. Yesterday, though, I saw what true shamelessness is. Alright, Shishir. Let's not be angry anymore. The truth will come out sooner or later. Okay. Xiao Shua heard about the production team of Extreme Youth and drove there. She asked several staff members, but all of them thought that she was a die-hard fan of Gu Xingze and refused to let her in. She braced herself and explained, the female lead, Yun Shishir, is my best friend. I have something to ask her, so I'm here to visit her on set. The staff member looked her up and down and smiled disdainfully. Young lady, don't talk nonsense with me. I've seen plenty of die-hard fans like you who claim to be a celebrity's family member. I've been in this line for so long, so I've seen my fair share of things. What bestie? What friend? There were even those who claimed to be lovers. Why don't you come up with a better excuse? Xiao Shua was at a loss for words, somewhat annoyed by his contemptuous tone. Who are you calling a die-hard fan? I've always been a rational fan of celebrities, okay? Yun Shishir is my best friend, why would I lie to you? Mu Shi happened to pass by and saw this scene. When she heard a woman claiming to be Yun Shishir's best friend, she could not help but curiously look in the direction of the voice. She saw a fashionably dressed woman standing at the entrance of the sentry booth, arguing with the guard. She immediately walked over, only to hear the guard say mercilessly, enough. Who doesn't know that you're trying to sneak into the crew and get close to your idol? Get out of here. Otherwise, I'll ask the security to kick you out. You. Wait. Mu Shi called out. The two men looked at her. Mu Shi walked over and sized her up. She felt that this woman looked familiar and suddenly asked, are you Shishir's friend? Xiao Shua quickly nodded. She gave him a friendly smile. I'm Shishir's assistant. If you're Shishir's friend, you should have her private number, right? Although she claimed to be Yun Shishir's friend, she still wanted to verify it just to be safe. Xiao Shua immediately nodded. Yes, I do. I'll show you. She immediately took out her phone, found Yun Shishir's private number, and passed it to her. Mu Shi knew Yun Shishir's private number by heart. She glanced at it and instantly smiled. She turned to the guard and said, Boss, I'm sorry, but this is really Shishir's friend. Xiao Shua then raised her head self-righteously. The guard was instantly embarrassed and could not get out of the situation, so he apologized. Xiao Shua ignored him. Chapter 2600. She asked, why are you looking for her? Yes. Firstly, it's to visit her at work. Secondly, it's indeed an urgent matter. Yes, I can bring you to her lounge, but she's currently filming, so you might have to wait for her for a while. She immediately waved her hand. It's fine. I'll wait for her for a while. Thank you for helping me out. Mu Shi smiled and chided her for her politeness. It's nothing. You're Shishir's friend, after all. Shishir is an artiste under my charge, so this is what I should do. Xiao Shua also smiled politely. Suddenly, she thought of something and looked around. Then, she lowered her voice and asked, is Shishir in a bad mood today? On the way there, her heart was beating like a drum, worried that Shishir would be angry with her. Shishir was her best friend, from her classmates to her best friend who shared everything with her. In her heart, Shishir was definitely very considerate as a friend. Even though she was not good at expressing herself, whenever she was with her, she would always talk about her troubles, while she would sit patiently by the side with a gentle face and listen to her talk. Still, she rarely listened to her talk about her troubles. Sure had never interfered with her private affairs, but she had probably thought about it for a long time and hesitated for a long time before confiding in her with such heartfelt words. Alas, her response was terrible. At that time, Xiao Shui could not accept the truth and fled the cafe in a sorry state, not caring about her feelings at all. She must be furious and very disappointed with her. Everything she said was for her own good and did not have any intention of sowing discord between them, yet she stubbornly stuck to her own course until she heard those cruel words from Gao Nan's mouth. Only then did she believe that she was telling the truth. Xiao Shui was full of regret and was worried that her friend would be angry with her and ignore her forever. Mu Shi was stunned when she heard this and frowned. How do you know that she's in a bad mood? Did she tell you? Xiao Shui's heart skipped a beat as she suddenly became nervous. She must be very angry. Mu Shi thought that her friend was referring to Ji Yan and guessed that Sure must have complained to her in private, so she nodded. Yes. She came to the set today and threw a tantrum. It was the first time I had seen her so out of control. Usually, when she speaks to anyone on set, she's always gentle. She rarely loses control like this. Xiao Shui furrowed her brows, feeling extremely uncomfortable. She must have made her angry last night. Could it be that her anger still hadn't subsided after one night? Was that why she still couldn't control her emotions when she arrived on set? However, after thinking about it, it was only natural. After all, she knew that she meant a lot to Yun Sure. As a friend, she must be very angry that she left so irresponsibly last night. It's all my fault. I made her angry. Xiao Shui bit her lips in self-blame. Mu Shi was surprised. How can that be? Her anger should have nothing to do with you, right? Ha! Xiao Shui looked at her in surprise. Then why is she angry? Mu Shi looked at her with a conflicted expression, seemingly having some concerns. Chapter 2601. All right. Mu Shi let down her guard. I see that you're close to Sure, so there's no harm in telling you about it. Emichim. Xiao Shui was all ears. The assistant then summarized the matter concisely. 2 nights ago, an artiste named Ji Yan was celebrating her birthday and invited the whole crew to a party. At the party, Ji Yan appeared with a man on her arm. Shure's expression was a little strange at that time. Later, I found out that she recognized the man at a glance. She said that the man was her best friend's boyfriend. Isn't it obvious that she's cheating on her? Throughout the entire party, her expression didn't look right. Later, when I was drunk, Sure sent me to the washroom. I was so drunk that I couldn't remember what happened. I only know that when I came out of the washroom, I saw Hua Jin and that man fighting. Later, Sure said that the man followed them to the washroom and deliberately humiliated her and her friend. That's why the two got into a fight. Hua Jin rushed to protect Sure and fought with the man. Xiao Shui was shocked. She suddenly felt a tearing pain in her heart. Apparently, the assistant did not notice the unusual reaction on her face as she continued. This morning, Ji Yan spread rumors in the production team that Yun Sure had seduced Gao Nan in order to climb up his social ladder for the female lead role. Sure was so angry that she lost her temper on the spot. Xiao Shui lowered her head in regret. Mu Shi continued. Sure said that Gao Nan is a jerk who let her best friend down, but she didn't expect Ji Yan to put the blame on her. I almost exploded with anger when I heard it. How could Sure do such a thing? Even if it's for the sake of resources, she has plenty of them, so why would she lower herself? She won't do that. Xiao Shui said solemnly, I know her character. Not to mention that she doesn't lack support now, even if she had nothing, she wouldn't do such a thing. That's right. She replied agitatedly. You're so good to Shirshir for you to trust her so much. Xiao Shue's lips suddenly twitched, and her eyes turned red. She lowered her eyes, and a tear rolled down her cheek. She said sadly, I don't deserve to be her good friend, ah. She asked in surprise, why do you say that? Because, Xiao Shui held back her tears and said, Shirshir was slandered because she defended me. I'm the one who implicated her. Mushi did not react to this at first, but after giving it some thought, she suddenly realized something and her face turned solemn. Don't tell me that Gao Nan is your boyfriend. Not anymore. Xiao Shui immediately said. Last night, I broke up with him. His visit to the set this time was to apologize to her face to face. Still, I'm afraid that Shirshir won't forgive me. Mushi's gaze turned complicated when she heard this. She suddenly smiled bitterly. How is that possible? Shirshir is so gentle, why would she be angry with you? She's the most gentle person I've ever met. Don't worry. Thank you. You're welcome. Chapter 2602. A group of people was frantically coaxing Ji Yen. Ji Yen, don't be sad. Yun Shirshir's words are clearly targeted at you. Don't be sad, though, I'll secretly make things difficult for her in the future. The person who said this was the stylist. There were many hidden rules in the production team. Although the makeup artist, stylist, and costume designer had a clear division of labor in the crew, even though they didn't have a high status, if they didn't like an artist, they would use some underhanded means. For example, the makeup artist would deliberately make the artiste ugly. For example, the stylist would mess up the artiste's hairstyle. For example, the costume designer would hide an imperceptible needle in the collar and soles of the shoes. When the artiste put on the clothes without noticing, the artiste would often be pricked until blood flowed out, but they would not be able to find the needle. Mushi, who was standing at a distance, could not help but be furious when she heard this. Just now, there was a scene between Yun Shirshir and Ji Yen on set. Ji Yen, who seemed to be affected by something, was in a very bad state during the scene. Yun Shirshir once again lost her temper on the spot and scolded her harshly. At that time, Mushi happened to be on set, and when she saw this scene, her heart was filled with anger. She had never seen Yun Shirshir so strong-willed to scold Ji Yen in front of so many crew members. She was probably complaining about the injustice of her good friend being cheated on, so she deliberately seized this opportunity to make things difficult for Ji Yen. Have you read the script? Have you memorized all the lines? Everyone's time is precious. Although you're a newbie, as an actress, you must have a sense of professionalism. You're not familiar with your lines, your expression is wrong, and your positioning is wrong. Everything you make is reasonable, but what about the fact that so many people in the production team's time was delayed because of you? Ji Yen, that's just acting. No matter how much negative energy you have in your life, you shouldn't bring it to the production team. Look at what kind of a mess you're putting on. You're wasting my time. With Yun Shirshir's high status in the production team, Ji Yen was suppressed to the point that she could not refute. No one, including the director, tried to stop him. The cameraman, in particular, had a hard time holding up the microphone and had several NGs in a row. They had long been dissatisfied with Ji Yen, but they couldn't say anything about it. After all, Ji Yen had landed in the cast out of nowhere because of the support of a sugar daddy. Who would go against the investors? But Yun Shirshir was different. In terms of background, Yun Shirshir was definitely not afraid of Ji Yen. As soon as Ji Yen returned to the lounge, she complained to a few staff members who were on her side. Everyone felt indignant for her. They all felt that Yun Shirshir had gone too far. Coupled with Ji Yan's embellishment, everyone was resentful of Yun Shirshir's actions. She could not take it anymore. She stepped forward and snorted. What are you doing? How old were they already? Why were they still imitating primary school students and starting a small group in class? It was not childish at all. Ji Yen, I'm sorry to have wronged you. Your acting skills are as bad as a pile of sh*t, yet you've been scolded. Is that why you're here to fan the flames? What are you talking about? This has nothing to do with you, get lost. She sneered. How can it have nothing to do with me? I heard that some people are trying to make things difficult for the artiste I'm in charge of. How can it have nothing to do with me? Chapter 2603. Feeling guilty, the person immediately defended herself. Why are you staring at me? Why? Are you feeling guilty? If you have the guts to say so, why can't you admit it? Admit what? The person snorted contemptuously. Are you trying to slander me and make things difficult for your artist? What evidence do you have? She shrugged nonchalantly and said in an extremely tough manner, I don't need any evidence. With Shishi's authority in the production team, she can totally ban you. Let's not talk about this production team, just based on your behavior and nonsense in the production team, let's see which production team dares to sign you in the future. That person instantly lost her confidence when she heard that. Not to be outdone, Ji Yan's assistant mocked, Humph. You're just a dog relying on its master's power. Xiao Shui frowned, thinking that the assistant was about to explode, but the latter retorted indifferently, hee hee. Even a dog had to follow the right master. I'm just afraid that some dog slaves will follow the wrong master and end up with no food to eat. You. What about me? I'm scolding you. Dog slave. Enough. Unable to take it anymore, Ji Yen finally lost her temper. Is that enough? Stop arguing. I'm already in a bad enough mood. Ji Yen, you're so pretty, you don't have to worry about not being popular. Yun Shishi is popular now, but it's only for a while. With such a character, if the paparazzi expose her as a third party in your relationship, won't her popularity plummet? Xiao Shui could not hold it in anymore. What are you talking about? Watch your mouth. That person was instantly enraged when she heard that. Seeing that Xiao Shui was unfamiliar, she thought that she was a pushover and snorted. Who the hell are you? Did he speak to you? Xiao Shui, however, was never a pushover. She immediately walked up to her and gave her a slap. Bam! The person was slapped to the ground with a red face. I already told you to watch your mouth, yet you still want to test my patience. Who am I? Is it your place to ask? I don't know who you are to put on such an overbearing attitude. Who are you trying to scare? She almost could not help but clap her hands in joy. That's great. He didn't expect Shishi to have such a loyal friend. Ji Yen was stunned by the sight. Xiao Shui continued, Shishi is the third party. What a joke. She interfered in a relationship. Who did she interfere with? She seduced my man last night. If she's not a third party, then what is she? Everyone in the crew saw it with their own eyes. There's no need for you to clear her name. Ji Yen, if we're talking about the third party, aren't you the real one here? You still have the face to say that Shishi is a third party. For a man like that, even if he were to kneel on the ground, Shishi wouldn't even look at him. Ji Yan's face instantly turned pale. What did you say? I say, you are the real third party. Gao Nen already had a girlfriend, and they had been dating for a long time. You're the third party, do you know that? Ji Yan's lips trembled for a while. Don't talk nonsense. Chapter 2604. Ji Yan turned pale with fright and looked at her in disbelief, only to hear her friend continue casually. Still, after I found out that he's a playboy, I broke up with him last night. You can be with him legitimately. After all, what's the saying? AB asterisk TCH and a dog will be together forever. Nonsense. Ji Yan's assistant cursed, where the hell did you come from? Believe it or not, it's up to you. Anyway, I've officially broken up with Gao Nan. From now on, he and I have nothing to do with each other. Still, I won't allow you to humiliate Shirshir like this. She went to seduce Gao Nan. Ha! Is Gao Nan even worthy? Shirshir is so outstanding. Do you think she'll lower herself to be with that B** starred? Dream on. I think it's Gao Nan who's pestering Shirshir. Ji Yan, you should take care of your man and not indulge him in his estrus. Her words were clearly meant to humiliate her. Take care of my man. Isn't she calling Gao Nan a dog? If Gao Nan is a dog, then what am I? A dog? Ji Yan's face turned ashen with anger. You. Don't spread rumors. Xiao Shui sneered. Your whole family will die for spreading rumors. How vicious. The few people standing at the side were also stunned. None of them expected the situation to develop like this, let alone the emergence of Gao Nan's real ex-girlfriend. They did not know who was telling the truth and who was making things difficult for them, so they were all at a loss. Xiao Shui pulled Mushi back and said coldly, don't stoop to their level. Let's go to Shirshir's lounge and wait for her. Ji Yan's assistant could not take it anymore and stepped forward to block her path. Don't go. If you have something to say it clearly. A good dog doesn't block the way. Get lost. Xiao Shui pushed her away. Mushi was so excited that she followed closely behind her friend. When they were far away, she did not forget to make faces and stick out her tongue at Ji Yan and the rest. Ji Yan was trembling with anger. The people around them, however, did not dare to make a sound. Now that they felt that the truth of the matter was getting more and more confusing, they decided to be conservative and not take sides. Xiao Shui followed Mushi into the lounge. After what happened just now, the two of them became closer. Mushi and Xiao Shui talked about many things, such as how Yun Shirshir took care of her at work. Xiao Shui also talked to her about the interesting anecdotes between her and Yun Shirshir during their university days. Not long after, Yun Shirshir finished her scenes and returned to the waiting room. When she pushed open the door, she was stunned to see Xiao Shui chatting with her assistant on the sofa. Snow. She looked at her blankly. Why are you here? As soon as Xiao Shui saw her, she stood up from her seat. When she saw her, her eyes turned red. She immediately walked up and looked at her silently with red eyes. However, she was full of grievances and guilt. On the way here, she had prepared so many things, but when she saw her face to face, her mind went blank and she didn't know what to say for a moment. She had a lot of grievances that she wanted to pour out. There was a lot of guilt that he wanted to talk about. However, when the words reached her throat, they got stuck and she choked on her sobs. Shirshir, don't be angry with me, okay? After holding it in for a long time, Xiao Shui guiltily squeezed out these words. With tears in her eyes, she said, You must be very sad that I left without saying goodbye last night. Chapter 2605. So, you came all the way here just to apologize to me? Xiao Shui nodded fervently and said solemnly, Shirshir, I'm sorry. Can you forgive me? Silly girl, why should I be angry with you? Yun Shirshir's lips curled into a faint smile as she helplessly explained, I'm not angry with you, I just feel wronged for you. What I said last night was merely a piece of advice from a friend. It's understandable that you couldn't accept it at the moment. After all, I can tell that you're deeply involved in this relationship. When I said that the man you love cheated on another woman and listed all his misdeeds, you couldn't accept it and ran away at the last minute just to protect yourself from getting hurt. Xiao Shui's eyes reddened as her tears fell even more fiercely. Why did you say that? She complained. I'd rather you scold me harshly. That way, I'll feel better. But why was I so insensible and made you angry, yet you're so magnanimous to say that you're not angry with me? Sure, why are you so nice to me? Xiao Shue's pretense of stubbornness crumbled at once. She hugged Yun Sure tightly as tears streamed down her face. Sure, I hate you the most. You're clearly younger than me, but you're always so mature and tolerant of my mistakes. You can scold me, but I'd rather you scold me. It's best if you scold me until I wake up. Scold me for being blind and muddle-headed. Alright, Yun Sure suddenly raised her hand and gently caressed the back of her head. Like a mature and steady man, she gently comforted Xiao Shui like a lover. Even Mu Shi, who was watching from the side, could not help but feel that the current Yun Sure was full of boy-friendliness and actually made people feel a sense of security. Xiao Shui cried even harder after being comforted by her. Tears kept falling from her eyes and down her cheeks. She could no longer suppress the sadness in her heart. Releasing all her feelings of loss and pain, she cried wantonly. Ever since she had hardened her heart and cut off all ties with that man last night, she had pretended to be calm when she returned home. However, for the entire night, the rain continued to fall outside the window. Her heart was also cloudy. She covered herself with the blanket and cried for a long time until she was tired. Only then did she fall into a deep sleep. She wanted to pull herself together and completely throw Gao Nan to the back of her mind, but how could she forget about this relationship so easily? Hence, she pretended to be carefree and nonchalant about it. However, under Yun Shure's gentle coaxing, she could no longer hide her grievances. After crying for a long time, Xiao Shue's emotions finally stabilized. It was only after Yun Shure asked that she learned that she had cut the Gordian knot and broken up with Gao Nan last night. Although she didn't explicitly state it, the slap she gave him showed her resolute attitude. Gao Nan did not call her again either. After all, he did not have any feelings for her and was just going through the motions. Like he said, it was really not easy to find a marriage partner whom his parents were satisfied with. He only wanted to be with her because of this. Xiao Shui had completely given up on him. Chapter 2606. Yun Shure said, "There's no need to be nostalgic for such a man. He's such a playboy. Even if you really get married and get together with him, you'll suffer a lot in the future. You should be glad that you discovered his true colors early and cut off all ties with him. You should also be glad that he didn't delay you for too long." She pursed her lips and nodded. "You're so outstanding, you deserve a better man. It's not that I can't let go of this relationship, nor am I reluctant to part with it. It's just that I've treated this relationship seriously, yet I've been cruelly played by him, so I feel indignant." Xiao Shui clenched her fists. She wanted so badly to take revenge on this man and let him know that a woman's feelings were not to be casually played with. Given her personality, she dared to love and hate, so she naturally wouldn't be reluctant to part with such a sloppy relationship. However, she had always been unyielding and unwilling to admit defeat, so the thought of revenge arose in her mind. Yun Shure seemed to have seen through her and couldn't help asking, "Don't tell me you want to take revenge on him." Xiao Shui jerked her head up and looked at her in surprise. "You? How do you know what I'm thinking? You're like this. You're unyielding and headstrong. Of course, you'll want to take revenge after being played." "Yes." She didn't deny it. Yun Shure tilted her head and asked curiously, "So, how do you want to take revenge?" Yun Shure curled her lips. "Do you want me to say it bluntly? The greatest revenge you can use on him is to make him unable to extricate himself from falling in love with you, then you'll ruthlessly abandon him. Let him have a taste of his feelings being played with. However, from what I know of this man, he won't fall in love with you, so this plan won't work. What's next? Or do you want to use another method, such as imitating a TV drama where the female lead, abandoned by the male lead, goes to a bar or nightclub to indulge in debauchery and fool around with other men so that Gao Nan will see her extraordinary charm. This method will indeed be effective. Perhaps he'll find it interesting, or perhaps he'll be filled with pain after you leave him. In my opinion, such a method of revenge that harms both the enemy and oneself is quite laughable. However, if you really want to take revenge, you can just abandon him and live a carefree life without having to prove anything. It's about saying goodbye to your past relationships and getting back on track. Xiao Shui was dumbfounded. She had actually figured out her thoughts so clearly. Sure, Xiao Shui was ashamed. I was too childish. It's understandable for you to think that way. After all, you've suffered a blow. However, don't let your emotions affect your decisions and hurt yourself. Do you understand? Xiao Shui nodded heavily. All right, let's not talk about unhappy things. And let's not talk about unhappy things. Anyway, they had already broken up. This relationship was already in the past. I'm just worried. What are you worried about? Xiao Shui said, I heard some rumors in the crew. I'm worried that this matter will trouble you. No. I'll handle it. Yun Shishir smiled and said, since you're here, let's have dinner together. With that, she turned to Mu Shi and said, you, too, it's my treat tonight. Wow. Mu Shi was overjoyed. I didn't expect to get a free meal today. You speak as if you rarely get free meals. Chapter 2607. Due to the unpleasantness between Hua Jin and Gao Nan at the bar that night, the news quickly spread among the production crew. After this incident, everyone looked at Yun Shishir and Hua Jin strangely. No wonder. No matter how they looked at it, they felt that Hua Jin was too enthusiastic toward Yun Shishir. His care for Yun Shishir was unprecedented. Many people guessed that the two were having a secret relationship. Last time, they watched as Hua Jin protected Yun Shishir so well and fought with Gao Nan, even at the cost of his face being disfigured. One must know that many people were familiar with his style of doing things. He never cared about fighting. That was because Hua Jin hated disfigurement the most. Back when they were filming a period drama, a staff member in charge of the wire made a mistake and got his face scratched by a tree branch. He flew into a rage and kicked the entire team out of the set. The director and a few higher-ups were so stunned that they did not dare to say a word. Hua Jin was very protective of his face and valued it very much. However, for Yun Shishir, he did not care even if his face was disfigured. What did this mean? This meant that Yun Shishir was very important to him. However, ever since Yun Shishir flew into a rage that day, coupled with the sudden appearance of Gao Nan's official girlfriend, the rumor of Yun Shishir being a third party became a confusing rumor in the crew, and many people kept it a secret. After Hua Jin returned to the set, the rumor did not die down. One day, after filming, he returned to the resting set. His face was covered in dust, so he went to the washroom to wash his face. Then, he vaguely heard two women talking in the washroom. I increasingly feel that there's something between Yun Shishir and Hua Jin. I think they're very ambiguous. Oh. What do you mean? During filming today, did you notice that no matter what Yun Shishir was doing, Hua Jin's eyes never left her? What's more surprising is that whenever Yun Shishir was done with her scenes, Hua Jin would stick to her with a smile on his face. No matter how you look at it, he looks like a man in love. That can't be, right? Hua Jin and Yun Shishir don't seem to be compatible. How can the two of them be a couple? But I think there's something ambiguous between the two of them. Actually, I didn't believe it at first because I used to be a fan of Hua Jin. I saw the way he looked at Yun Shishir was exactly the same as the way I looked at him back then. How long have you been in the industry? Oh. Don't tell me you entered this industry because of Hua Jin. Yes. I used to study fashion design and had the opportunity to study abroad, but because I'm a fan of Hua Jin, I gave up my spot without hesitation and joined the production team when they were looking for a costume designer. I've been following him since his second period drama. Hua Jin can't possibly be interested in Yun Shishir, right? She's a third party, a mistress. Didn't Ji Yen say that? Yun Shishir actually took the initiative to seduce Gao Nan in order to get a job. I didn't expect her to be such a person in private despite how pure she looks on the surface. Although she denied it on the surface, I think she's especially hypocritical. If she did it, then so be it. If she admits it, then so be it. Is there a need to deny it? Don't tell me that AB*TCH still wants to build a monument. Chapter 2608. Sure. Be careful, the walls have ears. I'm not afraid. I'm an open and above-board person. Since I've said it, I won't deny it if someone hears me. I won't be like Yun Shishir, who only dares to do it but doesn't dare to admit it. The two of them walked out of the washroom, chatting and laughing. However, they bumped into Hua Jin, who was standing outside the door with a frosty look on his face. The two of them were stunned and stared at him dumbfoundedly. In a moment of nervousness, they bit their tongues hard when the words, Hua Jin, came out of their mouths. Hua Jin sized them up with an expressionless face. The frosty look on his face was especially thick. He stared at them with a deadly glare. His sharp gaze was like two sharp knives, ruthlessly cutting into their bodies. Who was the one who said that Shishir was IB*TCH who wants to erect a monument? The two of them kept their heads down and trembled in fear. No one dared to stand up and admit it. Why? I just heard someone say that you're open and aboveboard. Why? Now you're like a coward who doesn't dare to admit it. Hua Jin's voice was extremely deep. His voice was originally a characteristic of a youth. His gaze was clear and limpid like a stream. However, at this moment, it was extremely gloomy, like a dense fog that couldn't be dispersed. The gloominess seeped into one's bones, causing one to tremble in fear. What about you? Speak properly. Who was the one who said that Shishir was a third party? And who was the one who said that Shishir was a B*TCH? After Hua Jin finished speaking, he glanced at the fashion designer and asked sternly, was it you? Hua Jin. It wasn't me. I didn't say. She hurriedly waved her hands and hurriedly cleared her name. Hua Jin had always been her idol. It was because of this that she felt indignant about Hua Jin and Yun Shishir being so close. The other person was scared out of her wits. When she saw that Hua Jin's cold gaze had finally landed on her, she suddenly recalled that Hua Jin had always been vicious and merciless in the production team. She was so frightened that she almost collapsed to the ground. She immediately stammered and was so anxious that she was about to cry. Hua Jin, those words were all said by me. Before she could finish speaking, Hua Jin suddenly raised his hand and grabbed the back of her neck, pressing her against the wall. Ah! Hua Jin. No! The other person immediately pounced on him. Hua Jin pushed her to the side with one hand and bellowed, "Get lost!" Hua Jin ignored the crying voice next to him and stared straight at the woman in front of him. You said that Shishir is the third party. Where did this come from? How did Shishir become the third party for no reason? On the surface, he seemed to be choking her, but in fact, he didn't use much strength to give her space to speak. After he returned to the set, he vaguely sensed that the atmosphere on set was a little strange. However, he didn't think too much about it. However, the words he accidentally overheard just now shocked him. Shishir is the third party. Is this news spreading among the crew? Why? Hua Jin, tell me. Filled with anger, Hua Jin interrogated her. Tell me, what's going on? This is all Ji Yen said. The man shuddered as he pushed all the blame onto Ji Yen. Ji Yen. She. Chapter 2609. Hua Jin furrowed his brows in confusion, his eyes filled with shock and anger. She said that Yun Shishir seduced her boyfriend in the washroom at the party that night, and that she's a shameless third party. Everyone in the crew knows about it. Yun Shishir also knows about it, but although she denies it, she can't provide any substantial evidence. In everyone's eyes, her behavior is tantamount to admitting it. **T. Hua Jin immediately swore. This matter is completely groundless. Shishir is definitely not that kind of woman. Next to him, the costume designer hurriedly said, Hua Jin, do you really like Yun Shishir? Don't be fooled by her appearance. Everyone said that as a newcomer, she had obtained so many golden resources since her debut because she relied on the unspoken rules to get to where she was. Such a woman is not worthy of you at all. You deserve better. What do you mean? Hua Jin glared at her with red eyes. Despite his anger, he was extremely calm. Everyone in the crew is saying that you like Shishir, that you have an ambiguous relationship with her, and that you two are secretly in a relationship. But Hua Jin, do you really know her? Ji Yen wouldn't lie. Some women may seem innocent on the surface, but what about the truth? Ji Yen, Hua Jin muttered the name through gritted teeth. Then, he looked up and said fiercely, I'm warning you, Shishir is the most important person to me. If any of you gossip behind my back and make trouble for me, don't blame me for being rude. After saying that, he turned around and left in a hurry. No one knew where he went. At this moment, in the lounge, Ji Yen was touching up her makeup when she heard a series of hurried footsteps outside the door. She looked toward the door and heard a loud bang. Hua Jin had kicked the door open and barged in. Ji Yen, get out here. Ji Yan's heart skipped a beat. She shot up from her seat and met Hua Jin's eyes in astonishment. Hua Jin. She glanced at the anger on his face and then at the broken door. Several cracks had appeared on the thick, solid wooden door. At first glance, he looked delicate, but she did not expect that such a young man's slender frame contained such great strength. What are you doing? Ji Yen looked at him with great vigilance, feeling that there was a storm in him. His eyes were bloodshot as if he was in a rage. I heard that you've been spreading rumors about Yun Shishir in the crew. Hua Jin asked expressionlessly, you said that she's a third party. Are you the one who spread these rumors? Ji Yan's face froze for a moment before her lips curled into a faint smile. Rumors? Isn't that the truth? **T. Hua Jin swore. Who the hell is Gao Nan? Is he worthy? Even if Shishir's taste is as low as dust, she would never fall for such trash. Oh. Ji Yen asked with a faint smile, how did you know? Hua Jin, you seem to care a lot about her and her feelings. Don't tell me you like her. Hua Jin was at a loss for words. After a long pause, he said, Shishir and I don't have that kind of relationship. She's my family. Family? Ji Yen raised an eyebrow, finding it ridiculous. She's the most important person to me, so I won't allow you to insult her. Chapter 2610. Ji Yen shrugged. But the truth is that she's a third party who came between me and Gao Nan. For the sake of resources, she didn't hesitate to seduce Gao Nan and climb into his bed. You're deliberately slandering her. Hua Jin sneered. Ji Yen, I really suspect that you have ulterior motives. For the sake of resources. Is that why you're willing to play by the unspoken rules? Do you know that Shishir is already? His voice came to an abrupt halt. What he wanted to say was that Shishir was already married. Alas, he could not bring himself to say it out loud. That was because this matter had not been made public yet. If he accidentally blurted it out in a fit of anger, wouldn't it be troublesome for Sure? Hua Jin bit his lip and swallowed his words in a daze. Ji Yan pressed, "Why didn't you continue?" Hua Jin bit his lower lip hard and then said, "Anyway, I'm warning you, don't spread rumors again." Ji Yan sneered but did not say anything in the end. The smile on her face suddenly took on a strange look as if there was a deep calculation behind it. For a moment, one could not figure out what she was secretly plotting. Hua Jin did not want to pay attention to her. Since he had already laid all his cards on the table, he would naturally let her weigh the remaining words in her heart. Just as he turned around, he heard Ji Yan whispering behind him. "Hua Jin, you're quite arrogant, aren't you? What are you trying to say by coming here to show off in front of me? Do you think you're still the same person you used to be?" Hua Jin's back stiffened. Ji Yan casually said, "In the past, you relied on the support of your sugar daddy to call the shots and do whatever you want in the production team. I used to be afraid of you because of your sugar daddy, but I think you've fallen a lot recently." "Why? Did you break up with your sugar daddy?" "Shut up." Hua Jin turned around and said fiercely, "You have no right to comment on my affairs. You don't have the right." Ji Yan looked at him with a smile and did not say anything. The two of them looked at each other for a long time. The more Hua Jin looked into her eyes, the more confused his mind became. For some reason, he felt that this gaze was extremely familiar yet also extremely unfamiliar. He furrowed his brows and his eyes flickered. Suddenly, he exclaimed, "Yan Bingqing." This gaze made him think of Yan Bingqing's face. In the past, he had some doubts about whether Ji Yan was Yan Bingqing herself. But now, after seeing the deep look in her eyes, he was even more certain that this woman was definitely Yan Bingqing. Previously, he and Yan Bingqing had acted in a period drama together. Yan Bingqing played the role of a concubine with an unfathomable mind. When she acted with him, her sinister eyes left a deep impression on him. Yan Bingqing. Ji Yan's lips curled into a playful smile. She did not directly admit it, but she did not deny it either. "Some things are between Yun Shishir and me. Similarly, you have no right to interfere, do you understand? There are some things that I must get back from her." After saying that, Ji Yan arrogantly walked around him and walked out of the door. Hua Jin turned around abruptly and watched her slowly receding figure in astonishment. Uneasiness surged in his heart all of a sudden. When Yun Shishir returned to the lounge after filming, she saw Hua Jin sitting on the sofa in a daze. He seemed to have been waiting for her for a long time. However, his expression was a little strange, and he seemed to be a little anxious and uneasy. Chapter 26:11. Yun Shishir smiled. "When did you get here? I thought you were in your lounge." Shishir. When Hua Jin saw her, he snapped out of his troubled thoughts and walked toward her. He suddenly grabbed her shoulder and asked with a solemn expression, "Do you have a grudge with Yan Bingqing?" "I don't usually pay much attention to the gossip in the entertainment industry, but I vaguely remember that you and Yan Bingqing worked together on the set of The Green Apple, and the slapping incident was exposed at that time. Although Huan Yu quickly suppressed the news at that time, Yan Bingqing's disappearance from the entertainment industry has something to do with you, right?" Yun Shishir looked at him in confusion. "Why did you suddenly mention her?" "I suspect that Ji Yan is Yan Bingqing. She must have returned to the entertainment industry to take revenge on you." Hua Jin revealed all his concerns. Shishir, "I'm a little worried about you. Ji Yan is Yan Bingqing." Even Yun Shishir couldn't help but be stunned. "Are you sure about this?" she asked doubtfully. Hua Jin shook his head. "I don't have any evidence that she's Yan Bingqing, but my sixth sense tells me that Ji Yan wants to do something to you." "What do you mean?" "Shishir, I'm no longer the Hua Jin I used to be. After I broke off my relationship with Lin Shuya, I don't have any backing. I want to protect you, but..." I'm worried that I can't protect you well. Sure, you must keep a distance from Ji Yen. I'm worried that she'll harm you. Yun Sure was stunned for a moment, then she comforted him softly, Hua Jin, don't worry. Even if she wants to harm me, she won't have such an opportunity. Because I plan to quit the entertainment industry. Yun Sure said calmly, when the press release is over, I will announce to the public that I am quitting the entertainment industry and stay at home to take care of my husband and children. A trace of worry appeared on Hua Jin's face, but I'm still worried, don't worry, I'll keep my distance from her. Yun Sure smiled. Besides, I only have the chance to meet her on set. Usually, even if you don't have any scenes, you will accompany me on set. With you around, what do I have to worry about? Her words gave Hua Jin a great sense of security. He firmly enunciated each word, don't worry, I will protect you at all times. PFFF, Yun Sure suddenly laughed. Now that you mention it, Ji Yen is like a devil. It's as if she's going to rush in and stab me with a knife at any moment. One must always be on guard against others. If she really is Yen Bingqing, I suspect that she will scheme against you. Well, don't worry, I'll be on guard against her. Hua Jin felt a little relieved after hearing her words. However, the rest of the day was as peaceful as ever. Hua Jin never left Yun Shure's side on set, but ever since Hua Jin and Ji Yen quarreled that day, Ji Yen did not appear on set the next day. According to the director, Ji Yen had taken a leave of absence due to illness, and since there were no scenes for her these few days, she simply stayed at home to rest. Hua Jin originally thought that this matter would come to an end. In the few days that Ji Yen was not around, the production team had quieted down, and the rumors about Yun Sure had died down. Chapter 26:12. On Monday evening, Zhuo Ku, a well-known paparazzi in the entertainment industry, posted a sensational Weibo post. Zhuo Ku, the entertainment writer of Fictional Studio, was known as the #1 paparazzi in the entertainment industry. He had tens of millions of fans on Weibo and specialized in exposing insider gossip in the entertainment industry. His style of doing things was to follow artists and secretly take photos of them. If he got hold of a first-hand scandal, he would send the photos to the artist in advance in the form of an email and offer a price at the end. If the artist was willing to pay for these scandalous photos, then Zhuo Ku would delete all the photos. If the artist was not willing to pay, then he would expose the scandal. Some time ago, the shocking photos of a certain young starlet were his handiwork. Of course, not all scandals could be bought with money. As a paparazzi, what he needed was reputation. He needed to use the gossip he took to prove his prestige as a paparazzi. That evening, he posted a limerick on Weibo, "Vows of eternal love are hurried, the broken marriage is a dream. The poetic South Mountain is high in the clouds, the remnant face to the candle is empty." Moreover, at the end of the Weibo post, he said in a very emotional tone, "Sometimes, the surface is as clean as ice and as clean as jade, but it is not really as beautiful as it looks. Under the charming appearance, there may be an extremely ugly heart." This was his usual style. First, he would publish a limerick as a warning and as a small demonstration. This limerick would often hide the name of the protagonist of the scandal, but as for who it was, netizens would have to use their brains to guess. Soon, some astute netizens guessed the name hidden in the limerick. Yun Sure. The poetic South Mountain is high in the clouds. Isn't that Yun Sure? Once the Weibo post was posted, it immediately shocked countless people. Many people guessed that Zhuo Ku had gotten hold of some insider information again. Some netizens joked, did Zhuo Ku get hold of some shocking insider information again? Yun Sure has been very popular recently. It seems that Zhuo Ku is going to destroy her ruthlessly. Could it be that he is going to expose Yun Shure's scandals? I quite liked the movie The Green Apple that she acted in. Her acting was really good. I always thought that she was the only young starlet in the entertainment industry who was untainted by dirt. Yun Shishir is indeed very suspicious. Although she looks like a fairy on the surface and gives off an otherworldly feeling, she has so many resources since her debut and has acted in so many good scripts. I can't help but feel that she's not an ordinary woman. In private, she must be a very scheming woman, right? For a time, there were different opinions. Regarding Yun Shishir's speculations, everyone had their own opinions. There were some who stood firmly on Yun Shishir's side. There were also some who suspected that Yun Shishir was just like what Zhuoku said. She wasn't as pure as she looked on the surface. Perhaps she was as filthy as those unrestrained celebrities in private. All the netizens were in the mood to watch a good show and were looking forward to the arrival of Friday. In Qin Zhou's office. Bang! Qin Zhou slammed the document on the table. Good job, Zhuoku. Cover it up tightly. Yun Shishir sat at the side, her brows tightly knitted from beginning to end, but she did not understand the reason. As the person at the center of the incident, she even suspected that the limerick was directed at her. She didn't do anything bad, right? Chapter 26:13. As the person at the center of the incident, many netizens who did not know the truth criticized her on the internet these days. There were even fans who went to her Weibo to ask what had happened and asked her to announce it herself. Qin Zhou immediately contacted Fictional Studio to express his attitude. If it was really a scandal about Yun Shishir, he wouldn't hesitate to buy it at a high price. However, Fictional covered his mouth tightly and said, "It's not convenient to say more. See you Friday." Then, he hung up and ignored him. *CK, see you Friday. Qin Zhou cursed and turned to Yun Shishir. Do you know what's going on? Yun Shishir shook her head blankly. You really don't know. Qin Zhou became more anxious. Yun Shishir said, I've been filming for the past few days. You know how I am. I don't know what went wrong. Was Zhuoku really referring to me in his doggerel? She had always been uninvolved. She was not afraid of a crooked shadow. She firmly believed that this matter had nothing to do with her. Who else could it be other than you when the poem Nan Shan Soars Above the Clouds refers to? Who else in the entertainment industry has Yun and Shi in their names besides you? Qin Zhou said eloquently. Yun Shishir was even more perplexed as she furrowed her brows. Could there be a misunderstanding? Qin Zhou said angrily, I have my suspicions too, but Fictional hasn't been willing to disclose it and hasn't explained anything. He only said that he'll see you Friday. Do you know what "see you Friday" means? He's showing us who's boss. He's provoking Huan Yu. Anyway, I didn't do anything wrong. Even if they expose a scandal, I can explain it clearly. Explain it to who? Explain it to those fans who are led by public opinion. Zhuoku's scandals have always been true. The public will be blinded by him. When that happens, you'll only be caught in the vortex of public opinion. Who will listen to your explanation? Yun Shishir was speechless. She suddenly said, all this time, I haven't been anywhere other than filming. Therefore, it's futile for you to ask me. Only then did Qin Zhou realize that he had lost his composure. Frowning, he rubbed his forehead with his finger and said helplessly, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been so tough with you. I'm fine. You go back first. I'll think of a way to deal with this matter. Yun Shishir suddenly said, actually, no matter what kind of scandal it is, even if it is exposed, I can deal with it. Don't worry too much about me. How are you going to deal with it? Qin Zhou asked doubtfully. If it's slander, I can sue, can't I? I'm not worried about slander. I'm worried that this guy is taking advantage of your loophole to defame you. Qin Zhou, don't worry. Different situations call for different measures. Yun Shishir stood up and suddenly smiled at him. I came here today because I have something to discuss with you. But seeing how tired you are, I'll talk about it another day. What is it? Just say it. Qin Zhou didn't like to keep people in suspense. Chapter 26:14. Qin Zhou was stunned. Yun Shishir continued, I don't like to fight with people, especially those who are scheming against each other. I can't deal with them. So, I want to work hard to become a best actress and then quit the entertainment industry. Her words were so sudden that Qin Zhou couldn't digest them for a while. You want to quit the entertainment industry? Yes. Are you sure about that? Qin Zhou was still a little reluctant. Sure, your future is bright. As long as I continue to support you, your future will be very bright. You should know my character. I don't care about fame and success. Maybe it's because I didn't live up to your expectations. Her lips curled into a self-mocking smile. Compared to success and recognition, I still want to protect my little family. When I first stepped into the entertainment industry, I was forced by life and had no choice. But now, compared to the audience, my family needs me more. Won't you regret doing this? Yun Shishir said firmly, No, I won't. Well. Qin Zhou frowned and said helplessly, This is a little sudden. Give me some time to digest it. Okay. You can go back first. Qin Zhou ordered. Yun Shishir picked up her bag and left the company. Because she had been in the eye of the storm recently, Qin Zhou told her to leave through the back door of the company. He also arranged bodyguards to protect her on the way to avoid any accidents. The company sent her a private car. After she got in, she closed the curtain and did not have to worry about being secretly photographed. In the past few days, the matter of Zhuo Ke's Weibo post was still fermenting. Many netizens became more and more restless, and everyone kept speculating with the intention of gossiping. Yun Shishir's Weibo post attracted countless comments from netizens. Some wanted to get to the bottom of it, some questioned and speculated, and some criticized wildly. In the past few days, Yun Shishir did not deliberately log into Weibo again. The more she read the public opinion, the more annoyed she became. On Thursday, Zhuo Ke didn't want to be left out again and posted a set of 9 photos. The woman in the photo was none other than Ji Yan, the new actress who had caused a heated discussion due to her resemblance to Yan Bingqing. She was lying on the hospital bed, wearing a breathing mask. On the hospital bed, she looked very sick, unable to recover. Dejected and haggard. Trapped by love, I still have no regrets. Zhuo Ke's short poem seemed to imply that Ji Yan had fallen ill because she was troubled by her love life. However, he did not reveal too many details. An hour after he posted the Weibo post, a netizen who claimed to be working at a hospital posted, the photos posted by Zhuo Ke are real. Ji Yan was rushed to the hospital a week ago after she was found wanting to commit suicide by cutting her wrists. Rumor had it that the person who found her was her best friend. As she had lost contact with Ji Yan for several days, the woman was so worried that she went to her apartment to look for her. However, after knocking on the door for a long time, there was no response. When the woman broke in, she found Ji Yan lying in a bathtub filled with water that was stained red with blood. Rumor has it that Ji Yan once had a stable boyfriend, but her boyfriend cheated on her, causing her to be emotionally hurt. That's why she took it too hard. Hurt by love. Cheated on. The netizens' imaginations ran wild. Chapter 26:15. Then, connecting the dots, doesn't it mean that a couple who were originally in love with each other had their relationship ruined by someone else and was hurt by love? Oh, my God. Could it be that Zhuo Ke wanted to expose that Ji Yan had been ruined by a third party, and that third party was Yun Shishir? Zhuo Ke added, Sometimes, the surface is as clean as ice and as clean as jade, but it isn't as beautiful as it looks. Under a charming appearance, there may be an extremely ugly heart. She was implying that, although Yun Shishir maintained her image of being pure and otherworldly on the surface, she was, in fact, extremely ugly in nature. The netizens connected the dots and were terrified. They were looking forward to the truth being revealed on Friday night. What the hell? On this day, Xiao Shui called to ask about Yun Shishir's situation. She was worried that Yun Shishir would be at a loss and helpless after this incident. To her surprise, Yun Shishir picked up the phone calmly, as if she didn't care about it at all. Only then did Xiao Shui feel a little relieved. Shishir, have you seen the comments of the netizens online? They're too much. How dare they speculate about you without any substantial evidence? I'm so angry. Xiao Shui continued. There's a line in that poem, the poetry of Nanshan is high in the clouds. Could it be related to Gao Nan? Yun Shishir furrowed her eyebrows, feeling a little doubtful. Xiao Shui, don't be anxious. How can I not be anxious? I'm the one who implicated you in this matter. If it weren't for my bad luck, I wouldn't have brought you so much trouble. Xiao Shui regretted her actions, especially when she realized that her failed relationship had implicated her best friend in a whirlpool of public opinion. Since it has already happened, we should think about how to deal with it. It's useless to be on tenterhooks. Xiao Shui asked nervously, will it work if you clarify the truth to the public? Yun Shishir was also a little confused by this question. She didn't know if her explanation was convincing. However, when she roughly figured out the core of Zhuo Ke's revelation, she calmed down at once. Her conscience was at ease with this groundless exposé. She was not a third party, nor did she interfere in anyone's relationship. Just this point alone made her feel at ease. What is this Zhuo Ke up to? How dare you write such a groundless scandal? Perhaps, he was also instructed by someone. As far as she knew, Zhuo Ke's information was not 100% true. If someone offered him a large sum of money, he would publish it on Weibo even if it wasn't true. If the person being defamed did not have a strong enough background, he would definitely be crushed by the overwhelming comments. However, in the eyes of the netizens, most of Zhuo Ke's revelations were confirmed to be true. Even if the latter did not clarify and deal with it coldly, there was still evidence to follow. Therefore, in the eyes of the netizens, Zhuo Ke was the messenger of justice who exposed the dark secrets of the entertainment industry. This was the trickiest part. Xiao Shui didn't react to her words and was confused for a moment. What do you mean? Yun Shishir said hesitantly, I suspect that someone is deliberately trying to smear my reputation and use the internet to suppress me and destroy me. This is too scary. Who is scheming against you? Chapter 26:16. Once this news was out, who would benefit the most from the public opinion? Ji Yan. Therefore, it was not difficult to guess who the mastermind behind this matter was. Still, why would Ji Yan do this? Ji Yan had just debuted, and she had no grudges with her except for that matter with Gao Nan. Was it necessary for her to commit suicide over that matter? Or could it be that the suicide by cutting his wrists was just a show to add to the scandal and gain the sympathy of the public? Such a show was undoubtedly very successful. The public opinion online was already leaning toward Ji Yan's side. Most netizens, who were unaware of the truth, began to defend, sympathize with, and support her. However, as the center of this incident, she, who appeared as the third party, became a target of scorn and hatred. Hence, she could be even more certain about one thing. Ji Yan did not truly love Gao Nan, and the two of them were just playing around. Moreover, she had already set up a trap and was patiently waiting for her prey to walk into it unknowingly. And that prey was none other than her. Gao Nan was nothing more than a pawn for her to use. To put it bluntly, Gao Nan was just a smokescreen. She had painstakingly set up a trap for him at the birthday party that night, and the game had officially started from there. The next day, she went to the production team to exaggerate this matter, deliberately portraying her as a third party who interfered in someone else's relationship to arouse the sympathy of the crew. There were many small groups in the production team, and some of the crew members who knew some inside information would send it to the paparazzi for a high reward. Once the paparazzi got hold of a clue, they would begin to lay low. As for what Zhuoke would release on Friday, it would probably be some photos that would be unfavorable to her. For example, photos of her and Gao Nan looking very intimate. That night, the bar was so chaotic. If Ji Yen wanted to, she would have bribed the paparazzi in advance to keep watch at the bar. They probably took a photo of her and Gao Nan in the washroom. Using a certain angle, even if she and Gao Nan were arguing non-stop, the photo was still and could not speak. As long as the right angle was chosen, even if the two of them were quarreling with red faces, it could still create an extremely ambiguous effect. Yun Shishir calmly analyzed the situation. Once she calmed down, her mind was very clear. The development of the matter was probably not much different from what she had inferred. There might be a discrepancy, but it would not be too big. Ji Yen really put a lot of thought into this. Why would she do this, though? It's probably because there's some deep hatred between us that can't be resolved, right? This further confirmed her suspicions. This Ji Yen is Yen Bingqing. Yun Shishir shared her conjecture with Xiao Shui. After listening to her analysis, the latter was a little dazed. After a long pause on the other end of the phone, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She said with extreme indignation, "Oh my God, is this a plot against the palace?" The entertainment industry was like a harem in ancient times, full of intrigue and intrigue. So melodramatic. Things like this happen every day. I'm already used to it. Chapter 26:17. After hanging up the phone, Yun Shishir knitted her brows and suddenly walked into the study, where she turned on her computer and logged into Weibo. Sure enough, the rumors about her being a third party were all over the place. The netizens seemed to be certain that she was the mysterious female lead in Zhuoke's news and firmly believed that she had interfered in Ji Yan's relationship. She looked at the calendar and saw that tomorrow was Friday. Zhuoke would release the news on Friday night, and she would be in a very passive position by then. After all, as the protagonist, if she insisted on explaining, it would only make the public feel that the more she tried to explain, the more it would make the situation worse. She had once filed a defamation lawsuit against Zhuoke, but Qin Zhou said that the litigation period would be very long, and under the operation of Fictional Studio, her reputation would inevitably be tarnished. Once it hit rock bottom, it would even affect her a lot of areas. For example, she originally planned to compete for the Best Supporting Actress award with Lethal Beauty, but if she were to be embroiled in a scandal, she would definitely be boycotted by the public. The jury would then comply with the public's opinion and kick her out of the list. At that time, she would have no chance of winning the award and would be completely removed from the list. What was worse was that if things got out of hand in the end, the advertisements she endorsed would also be affected and taken off the shelves, and she would also have to face a high penalty for breach of contract. As a spokesperson with a sky-high price, one's artistic integrity was also the most important assessment indicator for advertisers. Maintaining a good image was also listed in the clause. Thinking of this, Yun Shishir's mood became more and more irritable. When Mu Yaja reached home, Yun Shishir was slumped over the study table, looking depressed. He walked to the front of the study table, only to find the computer screen displaying the Weibo interface. On the interface was a long Weibo post about Yun Shishir's scandal. Some netizens analyzed some details revealed by Zhuoke's Weibo and concluded that Ji Yan's rumored boyfriend was probably the son of Qingguang Entertainment's senior executive, Gao Nan. South Mountain Poetic Beyond the Clouds. It referred to Yun Shishir and Gao Nan. So, Yun Shishir had interfered in the relationship between Ji Yan and Gao Nan, and the latter had cheated on Yun Shishir. The netizens were in an uproar. He was no stranger to Gao Nan. Nowadays, many things in the entertainment industry had become transparent due to the internet. Although Gao Nan was not a public figure, it was precisely because his mother was a high-ranking executive in Qinguang Entertainment that all his rumored girlfriends were related to the entertainment industry. Some time ago, there was even a scandal between him and Lin Ji, where the paparazzi secretly took photos of them entering and leaving a hotel together. Although Qinguang Entertainment managed to suppress this matter in time, the news still spread like wildfire. Coupled with his good looks, he was even better than many of the young men in the entertainment industry. Mu Yaja frowned. Because of his anger, his breathing suddenly became heavy and rapid. Yun Shishir suddenly sensed it. She raised her head and saw that it was him. She was immediately at a loss. You're back?" she asked anxiously, only to see his gaze fall straight on the screen. His hostility was revealed, and he was clearly a little uneasy. "Hi," she was worried that he would misunderstand and wanted to explain, but she didn't know where to start. Mu Yaja suddenly looked at her. "Who spread this rumor?" He was so angry that his voice was thick and nasal, which made him look very dignified. Chapter 26:18. She had thought that he would want to get to the bottom of it after seeing the rumors, but she hadn't expected him to think that someone was trying to defame her. In other words, he didn't suspect that she had really done such a thing. Instead, he subconsciously chose to believe her innocence and believed her without any hesitation. Yun Shishir couldn't help feeling touched. Her stubborn face finally cracked, and a helpless look of grievance appeared on her face. "I really didn't get involved in anyone's relationship. I don't know why they're doing this. I'm guessing they're trying to defame me and ruin my career." "Who posted these rumors?" "Fictional Studio." "Fictional Studio." Mu Yaja frowned. He wasn't unfamiliar with that name. Zhuoku said that he'll release a shocking piece of news tomorrow night. "I suspect that someone has bribed Fictional Studio to defame my reputation." Mu Yaja couldn't bear seeing how uneasy and helpless she was. He hugged her tightly and sighed. "Don't be afraid. I won't let that happen." "What should I do?" Yun Shishir was at a loss. "I don't know what to do. This is the first time I've encountered something like this. I can only tell myself that the more tense the moment, the calmer I have to be." "Fictional Studio, huh?" Mu Yaja opened his eyes slightly. A frosty glint flashed across his eyes, freezing everything within 1,000 miles. "Don't worry, Shishir. I'll take care of everything." Yun Shishir closed her eyes. "Okay." On Friday night, Fictional Studio, which had made an advance announcement, didn't release the news as promised. Whether it was Fictional Studio's official Weibo or Zhuoku's Weibo, there were no updates. Even though netizens kept clamoring for him to release the news, there was still no news from him even after a few hours. Many netizens were greatly disappointed. This matter had been brewing for several days. Regarding the love triangle between Yun Shishir, Ji Yen, and Gao Nan, the netizens had many different opinions and speculations. They were just waiting for the truth to be revealed on Friday night. However, for the first time in his life, Zhuoku stood them up. Fictional Studio also stood them up and didn't make any move. Yun Shishir, who was at the center of this incident, posted a Weibo post on Friday night along with a meaningful picture. In the picture, there was a clear stream with a little girl holding a bunch of wildflowers as she strolled by the stream. She looked so innocent and carefree. She even attached a short Weibo post with 4 words, "The innocent knows the truth." The netizens were in an uproar. What? The truth? Does this mean that the announcement that Zhuoku released earlier was a mistake? There's no third party, no affair, and scandals. Fictional Studio, everything. All of a sudden, a bloody storm was set off on the internet again. Some netizens were disappointed. They were prepared to watch the biggest drama of the year, but they didn't expect that after years of brewing, there would be no follow-up. Their anticipation was in vain. Some netizens, on the other hand, were excited that their beloved idol was finally innocent. Hence, they went to Zhuoke's Weibo and scolded him for being a mangy dog. Chapter 26:19. There was no third party, no cheating, no scandal. Everything was Fictional Studio's fault. Instantly, the internet was once again in a bloodbath. Some netizens were disappointed. They were originally prepared to watch the biggest drama of the year, but they did not expect that after years of brewing, there would be no follow-up. Their anticipation was in vain. Some netizens, on the other hand, were overjoyed that their beloved idol had finally been cleared. Hence, they went to Zhuoke's Weibo to scold him for being a lazy dog. What the hell is going on? Ji Yan slammed the fax sent by Zhuoke on the table. According to the fax, due to some unforeseen circumstances, this matter might come to an end. In fact, Yun Shishi's guess was right. Everything was a trap set up by Ji Yan. Starting from the party that night, she had carefully set up a big net to use this scandal to completely drive Yun Shishi to the bottom of the valley. If there were no accidents, Zhuoke was supposed to publish a long Weibo post and a set of candid photos that night as planned. The photos were taken secretly in a bar that night. In the photos, Yun Shishi and Gao Nan were arguing in the washroom. However, the angle and deliberate candid shots made the two look very intimate. One of the photos showed Yun Shishi and Gao Nan gnashing their teeth as they spoke. From the photos, it looked like they were whispering to each other intimately. Just these few photos alone were enough to prove that the two of them had a close relationship. In addition, Zhuoke also revealed that Ji Yan had cut her wrist to commit suicide due to being trapped by love to win the public's sympathy. The public generally had a sense of empathy. When the weak were in front of them, they would unconsciously side with them and protect them. A popular starlet who was as pure as ice and as pure as jade on the screen was actually so unrestrained in private. She interfered with the relationship of a new actor in the crew and forced a weak and helpless newcomer to commit suicide by cutting her wrists. How repulsive would that be in other people's eyes? Ji Yan could even proudly foresee that Yun Shishi's Weibo would be attacked by angry netizens not long after Zhuoke's Weibo post was published. However, until this moment, there was no movement from Fictional Studio. Ji Yan was completely dumbfounded. Damn it! What's going on? Sister Ji Yan, could it be that Yun Shishi is using her resources to suppress Fictional Studio? Ji Yan furrowed her brows and suddenly ordered, Xiao Jing, help me contact the reporters. I want to hold a press conference the day after tomorrow, which is the weekend. Press conference. Ji Yan snorted coldly and said with a gloomy look in her eyes, there's probably nothing more powerful than the victim standing in front of the media and denouncing the culprit, right? On the evening of the weekend, an unexpected media conference suddenly became the focus of the entire internet. A number of first-line mainstream media focus, QQ live broadcast. Dressed in plain clothes, Ji Yan appeared in front of the camera with a haggard face. Her face was so pale that not a single trace of blood could be seen on it. She looked dull and lifeless, as if there was no color left in her. Chapter 26:20. Facing the microphones of the various media outlets, she finally made a sound. Since that incident, I've remained silent from beginning to end. I admit that I'm weak. I don't think I'm strong, so when I was bullied, I chose to retreat and leave this world. But now, I've come to my senses, and I want to speak without hesitation. Please give me back my love. Please give me back my love. Newcomer Ji Yan faces the media for the first time and accuses the entertainment industry of being shady. I've loved acting since I was a child, and I liked to try out every different role. Therefore, when I was in college, I applied for an acting major without hesitation. I yearned for the entertainment industry wholeheartedly, hoping that one day, I could step into this dazzling place, radiate my light and enthusiasm, and dedicate my life to this career. From the bottom of my heart, I hope that I can grow into a professional actor and perform well in every work. I hope that I can present my emotions to everyone. But, when I stepped into the production team for the first time in my life, with great expectations, reality poured a bucket of cold water on me. Only then did I realize that the entertainment industry is not the holy land I imagined it to be. The more radiant a place is, the deeper the shadows are hidden. Sometimes, things that look beautiful on the surface will never be known for their true colors. Before this, Enchanting had always been a senior and my idol whom I respected the most. I was very excited and happy to be able to work with her in the first film of my life. In my eyes, she was once so outstanding, but later on, I deeply understood a fact: how exactly did she use dirty means to climb up the ranks step by step? The audience was in an uproar. On the internet, on TV, on the screen in the square, and on the live broadcast software, Ji Yan's heart-wrenching words shocked all the audience watching the press conference live. Under the attention of all the media, Ji Yan's tears fell like rain as she painfully accused Enchanting of all her crimes. It turned out that before joining the cast of Extreme Youth, she had begun a formal relationship with Gao Nan, the heir of the Gao group. The two had entered the honeymoon period, and their relationship had always been stable. It happened at a party. That day was her birthday. To celebrate, she invited the entire production team and cast to a bar for her birthday party. During the party, she vaguely sensed that something was amiss with the way Enchanting looked at Gao Nan. Afterward, the two went to the washroom one after another, with Hua Jin trailing behind. Soon, someone screamed at the washroom's entrance. The production team rushed over and found Hua Jin and Gao Nan in a scuffle. Hua Jin said that Gao Nan had touched Enchanting, but that was not the case. Afterward, Gao Nan told her that, during a break in the party, Enchanting had passed him a note with a few words written on it with an eyebrow pencil: "Waiting for you in the washroom." Feeling baffled, he went to meet her out of curiosity. However, when they were in the washroom, Enchanting changed her reserved and aloof attitude and lowered herself to seduce him. She even claimed that as long as she was given the role of the female lead, she would be his secret lover. Chapter 26-21. Unable to resist her seduction, Gao Nan got intimate with her in the washroom, which was witnessed by Hua Jin, who was tailing them. Hua Jin, who was in love with Enchanting, subconsciously thought that Gao Nan was forcing himself on Enchanting, so he immediately got into a fight with him. The people who came later immediately stopped the two. However, after the party ended on a sour note, Enchanting did not restrain herself at all. She called Gao Nan to ask him to have sex with her and even asked him to meet her at a hotel. Later, over the phone, she flirtatiously told him that she had specially brought along a sexy nightgown. Gao Nan then rushed to the hotel as promised, and the two had a night of sex. When she found out, she was in so much pain that she wanted to die. I love Gao Nan more than my life. I devoted all my feelings to him, but I didn't expect that the senior I respected would come between me and the man I loved so much would betray me and cheat on me. Under these two blows, I couldn't recover from the setback and wanted to end my life decisively. However, after I was resuscitated, I swore that I would expose all the dark secrets behind this. Today, I'm standing here to expose the truth to the public. I implore everyone not to be blinded by appearances, and I hope that everyone can help me and cheer for my true love. Return the entertainment industry to a pure land. Make decisions for my true love. Cheer for my true love. Shameless. Xiao Shue's face was livid with anger, and she could not wait to go crazy. In the living room, Enchanting quietly stayed in front of the TV and silently watched Ji Yan's haggard and helpless face on the screen. She could not help but raise an eyebrow and take a deep breath. I originally thought that her acting skills were terrible, but I didn't expect her to be the real drama queen at this critical moment. Fortunately, Yu Yu and Xiao Yichen were not at home for school, so she did not have to worry about how angry and irritable the two little guys would be after watching this press conference. Seeing her calm demeanor, Xiao Shui became even more worried and cautiously asked, "Sure, aren't you angry?" "I'm very angry." "Why do you look so calm, though?" Yun Shishir's lips curled into a smile as she stared at the screen. It's because I'm too angry that I calmed down all of a sudden. Xiao Shui glanced at the TV screen. The atmosphere at the press conference was chaotic, with reporters constantly asking questions. Ji Yan seemed to be suppressing her grief and pulling herself together to answer them, but that disgusting face of hers, it made Xiao Shui's heart, she felt extremely twisted. Such a foul atmosphere was really disgusting. He did not know how Ji Yan managed to do it, but how she was able to spout such nonsense so confidently. Is she not afraid of retribution? The media ads, the press conference. All of a sudden, a reporter raised a question. Miss Ji Yan, are you telling the truth? Of course. What I've said is the truth. What reason do I have to lie? Please believe me when I say that it takes a lot of courage and conviction to expose these dark secrets to the public. The entertainment industry is very complicated and dark. If I say this, I might be retaliated against at any time. I might even be blacklisted or shelved. But I don't care about that anymore. I'm not even afraid of death, so why should I be afraid of someone's revenge? Now, there was another round of whispers and discussions. Everyone looked at each other, shocked and frightened by Ji Yan's bold statement. Chapter 26-22. In other words, she was implying that she would definitely seek revenge for exposing Yun Shishir's true colors. Ji Yan put on a righteous look, looking as if she was ready to face death with equanimity. Just then, a man suddenly stood up at the scene and asked meticulously, Miss Ji, I'm Miss Huanyu. Miss Ji Yan, I'm Huanyu Media's chief reporter, and I have a question for you. How can you prove the veracity of what you said based on your one-sided story? Please don't be offended by my abrupt question. I'm just curious if you have any substantial evidence to prove that Miss Yun Shishir is the culprit in your relationship. Ji Yan froze on the spot. Evidence? The man replied calmly and politely, yes. Evidence that Yun Shishir is the third party. Please show me the relevant evidence. Do you have it? The atmosphere at the scene was in a deadlock. In front of the TV screen, Xiao Shui was so excited that she couldn't control her laughter. Ha ha ha. Are you stupid? How dare Ji Yan come out and embarrass herself with such mediocre skills? Who is this reporter? He's so handsome. I'm falling in love with him. Yun Shishir glanced at the man and saw his identity card. Ah, isn't he a reporter from Huanyu Media? Huanyu. Aren't you the owner of the company? Ha! So he's one of us. No wonder he's on your side. Could this reporter have been planted by Qin Zhou? It was said that in the past, when there were press conferences that were unfavorable to their artists, lawyers from the company's legal department would be sent to the venue disguised as reporters. With just a few words, they could instantly change public opinion. It worked every time. Could this reporter also be a lawyer from the legal department in disguise? Everyone held their breaths and stared intently at the center of the stage, where Ji Yan sat at the desk with a somewhat uneasy expression. Her eyes were wide open in a daze, and there was a look of bewilderment and confusion on her harmless face. In the face of the reporter's question, she seemed to be powerless to answer and didn't know how to respond. Therefore, for a moment, she just stood there in a daze and didn't say a word. Her eyes kept darting around as if she was guilty of something. All the reporters gradually became a little impatient. Through the microphone, they urged her a few times, as if they were certain that she couldn't produce any evidence. A barrage of questions came at her like a cannonball. Miss Ji Yan, could it be that you're jealous of Yun Shishir's soaring popularity, so you're deliberately making up something to smear her image? Yun Shishir is like a clear stream in the entertainment industry. From the beginning of her debut until now, there have been few scandals. What you said is indeed shocking, but as a media person, we have a responsible attitude to verify the truth and restore the facts. This is also a responsibility to the public. Please show us the evidence. We can't just listen to your side of the story, can we? It's really hard to imagine that Yun Shishir is such a shrewd and evil woman as you said. There was a lot of discussion, and people kept raising doubts. Ji Yen suddenly clenched her fists tightly. She seemed to be at a loss and uneasy, as if she was sitting on a pincushion. Seeing that she had been silent for a long time, the reporters finally couldn't bear it anymore. Why isn't she saying anything? Chapter 26-23. I think she's exaggerating. How can Yun Shishir be such a wanton woman? Still, it's very suspicious. After all, it's impossible for a newcomer like Yun Shishir to have so many golden resources right after her debut. She must have a sugar daddy behind her, but we don't know who that daddy is. Since she already has a sugar daddy behind her, why did she seduce Gao Nan? Are you stupid? Maybe she got tired of being toyed with by her sugar daddy and got kicked out. Besides, it's better to be seduced by a handsome man than anyone else. Gao Nan is very popular in showbiz, and many female stars are flocking to him. That makes sense. After all, Gao Nan is a rich second-generation heir with plenty of resources and looks good. He's much more pleasing to the eye than those fat old men. Seeing that the public opinion had reversed, the reporter from Huanyu continued to add fuel to the fire. Ji Yen, if you can't produce any evidence, can I suspect that you're making up these rumors to smear Yun Shishir's reputation? Absolutely not. Ji Yen wanted to cry but had no tears. I don't know what evidence you want. It's very simple. I want evidence to prove that what you've said is true. Ji Yen was increasingly at a loss. Just as the scene was on the verge of going out of control, the door of the venue was suddenly pushed open. A man's steady voice pierced through the chaotic venue like a shot in the arm. You want evidence? Then, can my words be considered as evidence? Everyone turned to look at him. Ji Yen raised her head in surprise and met the eyes of the man at the door. Instantly, a mixture of emotions appeared on her face. Yun Shishir and Xiao Shui could not help but be startled. As the camera switched, Gao Nan's handsome figure in a suit appeared on the screen. Xiao Shui was completely stunned. Why is it him? Why did he appear at the press conference? What is he trying to do? Yun Shishir was also a little surprised. She could not figure out the purpose of his appearance. With his appearance, the scene quieted down at once. Amidst the silence, only the sound of breathing could be heard as everyone's eyes fell on him. His sudden appearance was beyond everyone's expectations. Gao Nan looked at Ji Yen, who was on the stage, and then looked around expressionlessly. Didn't you ask her for evidence? Then, as the person involved in this incident, can my words be established as testimony? The crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. His appearance immediately reversed the direction of the wind. Ji Yen stared blankly at Gao Nan until he stepped onto the stage and stood in front of her. Ignoring the dumbfounded expressions of the media, he studied her for a long time before he smiled and silently took her hand, his eyes full of guilt. I'm sorry. I think I'm late. All this time, I've let you suffer so much. Gao Nan's affectionate confession made Ji Yen burst into tears on the spot. Gao Nan, don't say any more. It's all my fault. All this time, I've made you suffer so much grievance and pain. As your man, I've let you down time and time again. Now that I've thought it through, I've changed my mind. The person I truly love is you. So, give me another chance. Can you forgive me? Chapter 26-24. Ji Yen covered her mouth emotionally and stared at him in disbelief. Gao Nan. The man gave her a doting smile and interlocked his fingers with hers. He then turned around to face the crowd of reporters below the stage. I won't let her fight alone anymore. She's always shouldered everything silently, but from now on, I won't let her be alone. The moment he said that, the spotlights flashed violently. On the TV screen, Gao Nan firmly held Ji Yan's hand like a devoted lover. His face was full of regret and heartache, but more than that, there was a doting look that he had never shown before. Ji Yan covered her mouth in agitation and stared at him with tears of grievance falling down her cheeks as she hugged him tightly. Gotcha, gotcha, their affectionate hug instantly killed countless fans. In front of the TV, Xiao Shui watched the scene in a daze. The moment the two hugged each other tightly, her heart felt as if it was being torn into pieces by countless sharp claws. She thought that she had completely let go of him. However, when she saw the man, who had been dating for so long, showing a doting look that he had never shown her to another woman, she suddenly felt that she was a joke. Idiot. Fool. I actually fell in love with such a man. I actually let such a man play with my feelings so ruthlessly. Xiao Shui couldn't take it lying down. Ji Yan and I have been dating for 2 months, and our relationship is stable. We started a serious relationship with the goal of marriage. However, I admit that I was greedy for her beauty and was bewitched by her, so I betrayed her and committed a mistake that all men in the world would commit. However, in the past few days, I realized that the one I truly love is this woman. After a pause, his tone suddenly became serious again. As for the so-called evidence you're talking about, I wonder if my words can be used as evidence. Immediately, a reporter raised his hand and asked, Mr. Gao Nan, may I ask if what Miss Ji Yan said earlier about Yun Shishir seducing you is true? Yes. Did Yun Shishir really make such a flirtatious invitation? Yes. Did you really go to the appointment? Yes. Then, did something really happen between you and Yun Shishir? Such a sharp question silenced the audience at once. Xiao Shui's eyes widened as she stared at his cold face, praying in her heart, don't do anything to hurt Shishir. However, in the next second, a strange smile suddenly appeared on his face as he slowly nodded and pretended to be ashamed. Yes. The audience was in an uproar again. This sentence was presented to the entire nation through the live broadcast. His answer was undoubtedly to confirm that Yun Shishir was a third party. B** starred. Xiao Shui screamed hysterically. She was so angry that she almost picked up the teacup in her hand and threw it at the TV screen. Yun Shishir immediately tried to calm her down. Xiao Shui, calm down. How? Chapter 26-25. She roared angrily and turned to look at Yun Shishir. She couldn't hide the guilt on her face, and the anger in her eyes was about to burst out. He can't do this. Xiao Shui's tears fell. It's fine if he hurts me. Why does he have to implicate innocent people? How can this man be so shameless? Yun Shishir was also trembling with anger. However, at this time, she was strangely calm. Or perhaps, she believed that even if the sky fell, there would be such a reliable man behind her to support her safety. Therefore, even if this press conference was broadcasted live, the public opinion would definitely turn against her. However, she wasn't afraid. She believed that her man would protect her. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. This was the man's promise to her. Because of this sentence, she believed that no matter how the public opinion was against her, Mu Yazhou would eventually turn the situation around. The press conference was over. The TV station soon played the next program, but Xiao Shui was still sitting in front of the TV. Her eyes were empty, and no one knew what she was thinking. At night, Yun Shishir sent Xiao Shui back to the Xiao family. Along the way, Xiao Shui was strangely silent. Her face was full of guilt, helplessness, and uneasiness. She looked at Yun Shishir's side profile again and again, but in the end, she didn't say anything. When they arrived at the door, Yun Shishir unlocked it and said to her, I'll send you here today. Go home and rest early. Don't let your thoughts run wild, okay? Shishir, Shui. Yun Shishir gently covered the back of her hand and smiled gently. I'm not alone. Even if the whole world doubts me and betrays me, I'm definitely not alone. So, don't worry too much about me, okay? It's all my fault. I'm sorry, do you have to be so formal with me? Yun Shishir smiled faintly. I believe that everything will be fine. Xiao Shui nodded, pushed the door open, and got out of the car. The car sped away. Xiao Shui watched her leave and stood there for a long time until Mrs. Xiao heard the sound of the car engine and rushed out. Seeing her standing alone outside the door, she immediately greeted her with a worried look. Why are you back so late? Where did he go? You didn't even answer my calls. I was so worried. Mom. Before Xiao Shui could say anything, tears began to fall from her eyes. On the way, Yun Shishir received a call from an unknown number. When she picked it up, she heard Gao Nan's smug and arrogant voice. How is it? Did you watch the press conference? Gao Nan, it's you. The man smiled and then asked meaningfully, how was it? Was the press conference exciting? Yun Shishir took a deep breath and sneered, yes, I didn't expect your acting to be so good. If I wasn't the person involved, would have believed your nonsense. Oh, you flatter me. Do you know that you're spreading rumors? It's slander. Yun Shishir suddenly became agitated and blushed. Aren't you afraid of retribution for defaming my innocence? Retribution? What retribution? Chapter 26-26. What do you mean by that? There was a moment of silence on the other end before he said meaningfully, leave Mu Yaja and be with me. I'll hold another press conference to expose Ji Yan's lies and clear your name. Dream on. Yun Shishir retorted without hesitation. You're more despicable and shameless than I thought. Did you deliberately perjure yourself just to force me to submit to you? Although it's a little despicable, I only care about the result and not the process. Gao Nan suddenly smiled and said viciously, I, Gao Nan, have never failed to get a woman I want. Even if you don't belong to me, I'll do whatever it takes to get you. Yun Shishir hung up the phone angrily and threw it into the back seat. She then gripped the steering wheel tightly with a deep look in her eyes. Ji Yan's press conference was like a bomb that completely ignited the topic of unspoken rules in the entertainment industry. Unspoken rules had always been a taboo in the entertainment industry. There was a tacit understanding between each other, but it was rarely exposed to the public. In the minds of fans, be it popular starlets or superstars, they were all as beautiful and otherworldly as they appeared on the screen. This was especially true for Yun Shishir. Through the movie The Green Apple, she had always been pure, sweet, and harmless in the eyes of her fans. However, the eruption of this incident completely put her in the center of public opinion. All the media outlets took action when they heard about it and began to capture rumors and gossip about her. Some reporters even interviewed Yun Shishir's junior high school and college classmates. They used all means possible to present all of her unbearable past in front of the public. 2 days later, Phoenix Media released a video. In the video, a reporter conducted an in-depth interview with Yun Shishir's former college classmates and conducted an anonymous interview with them. The video was edited, and the voices were blurred and the faces were pixelated. Everything was post-processed to protect the privacy of the informant. Yun Shishir is very famous in our school. She was in the class next to mine and was the campus belle when she was in college. Many boys liked her, but she didn't seem to have been in a relationship before. Many of them thought that she was very aloof. However, I actually have a good impression of her, though I heard that her family was very poor. She and I were in the same grade. When we were still in school, I heard that her family owed a lot of debts and she seemed to be in need of money. Many people said that she was so desperate for money that she would do anything to get it. I used to take electives with her. I remember that she didn't like to talk, but her grades were very good, so all the teachers liked her. I haven't heard any bad rumors about her. I don't like to pry into other people's privacy. Sorry, I can't say much. Chapter 26-27. She seemed to have taken a break from school for a while when she was in her second year of university. Later on, I heard that she got pregnant by accident. There are many versions of this incident, but the most popular one is that she got pregnant by accident, went through the procedures to take a break from school, and secretly gave birth to the child. I heard that she got a lot of money and paid off her family's debts. Actually, I feel that she's quite pitiful. She's so young, yet she has to sell her body like that. Yun Shishir is my senior. She usually takes care of me academically, but I heard that her reputation in school isn't very good. I heard that she entered the entertainment industry and is very popular. If it weren't for this interview, I wouldn't have known that the actress who plays Yin Xiaochuan is the same person as her. Some of the rumors about her haven't been confirmed yet, but she gives me the feeling that she's very virtuous. Most of the men in class regard her as a goddess. Every morning, I can find a lot of love letters and chocolates on her desk, and even expensive bags and phones. This anonymous interview instantly spread all over the internet. Overnight, her Weibo followers increased by more than a few million, and it was still increasing. However, such an increase didn't mean that it was a good thing for her. Many fans followed her, but they went to her Weibo to criticize her, humiliate her, and complain about her. Shameless mistress. I hate mistresses the most. They're the most shameless people who get involved in other people's relationships. Although one was willing to hit and the other was willing to be hit, seducing someone else's boyfriend is extremely shameless. I used to like you because of the movie, The Green Apple. Now that I think about it, it's really disgusting. I actually have a good impression of a third party. Shameless. Mistress. Yun Shishir. How dare you get involved in other people's relationships? You deserve to be killed by a car. Why aren't you dead yet? Get out of the entertainment industry quickly. Don't embarrass yourself here. Yun Shishir, you're shameless. Shameless, get out of the entertainment industry quickly. The topic hashtag Yun Shishir get out of the entertainment industry hashtag quickly became a trending topic. Regarding the incident of her getting involved in other people's relationships, the internet instantly formed a mighty army of anti-fans. They ran to her Weibo and bombarded her with comments filled with righteous indignation. They scolded, cursed, and humiliated her. Netizens were extremely sensitive to the keyword third party. Perhaps many of them had experienced betrayal due to their feelings, so they hated the third party even more and empathized with them. Cyber violence was extremely terrifying. It could completely destroy a person without harming them at all. During this period, Huanyu was on high alert and cut short all of her public announcements. In order to deal with her matter, Qin Zhou was extremely busy. This incident had already become a phenomenon of cyber violence. No matter how many public relations teams Huanyu employed, it seemed to be quite difficult to quell the public's resentment. Over the past few days, Yun Shishir had not checked her Weibo. At the same time, there was a strange atmosphere on set. Ji Yan did not come to the set for the past few days. The director originally wanted to give her some time off, but Yun Shishir insisted on filming. She had no choice but to make herself busier. Otherwise, she really didn't know how to deal with the current situation. Chapter 26-28. For the past few days, he hadn't been online much. Moreover, Yun Shishir had rushed to the set early in the morning and sometimes came home late. Hence, he didn't notice that something was amiss. On this day, Yun Shishir had to work late at night. She had to film 2 scenes at night, so she didn't come home that night. After school, he went out to buy groceries and happened to see an entertainment newspaper that was on sale. He usually didn't pay attention to the newspaper and walked past it most of the time. However, the headline of the newspaper was too eye-catching. It was a large photo of Yun Shishir with a red circle. There was a candid photo in the background. In the photo, the lighting was extremely dim. He could only vaguely make out that the female lead in the photo was his dear mommy. However, the headline was, "The popular starlet who shot to fame overnight in The Green Apple was caught in a scandal after cheating on her boyfriend." He was shocked. He rushed to the newspaper stand and took a look. Then, he took out some change and bought the newspaper. When he got home, he read it carefully. The more he read, the angrier he got. Cheating. Seducing. How was that possible? Mommy was already married. Even if Mommy and Daddy weren't married, such a thing wouldn't have happened. Xiao Yichen had just finished his homework and walked out. He saw Yu sitting on the sofa with a gloomy expression. There was a newspaper on the table next to him. Out of curiosity, he reached out to take it. Yu noticed his movement from the corner of his eye. He immediately stood up and snatched the newspaper away. "Don't look." Xiao Yichen was shocked by his sudden movement. He widened his eyes and asked curiously, "What's wrong? What can't I look at?" Yu clutched the newspaper tightly and frowned. He suddenly said, "It's about Mommy's scandal. It's all fake. It's made up by the heartless media. Don't look at it." "What? Mommy's scandal?" Xiao Yichen immediately reached out to grab the newspaper. Yu was caught off guard and the newspaper in his hand was snatched away by Xiao Yichen. Before he could stop Xiao Yichen had already skimmed through the newspaper. His eyes were burning with rage. He was so angry that he immediately tore the newspaper into pieces and threw it on the ground. Who wrote that? What kind of nonsense was this? Mommy seduced a man. How could this be? Who wrote this? Yu's eyes suddenly flickered, and he immediately rushed into the study and turned on the computer. However, as soon as he turned on the computer, he saw that the web page was unexpectedly closed. Out of curiosity, he clicked on it and saw that it was actually a video of Ji Yan's press conference. He clicked on the play button, and after a while, the video was presented to him in its entirety. Xiao Yichen followed them into the study and sat down beside Yu. The two little guys suppressed their anger and watched the entire video. By the end, Yu was so angry that he almost smashed the keyboard. Lunatic. Scum. This is obviously a rumor and slander. Yu said in exasperation. Mommy would never do that. Does Daddy know about this? No, he doesn't. Yu thought about it for a while and then opened Weibo. He would occasionally browse Weibo. For his mommy's sake, he had deliberately set up his Weibo account and only followed his mommy. He would also secretly follow some of his mommy's activities and enjoyed it. Chapter 26-29. On Weibo, Yun Shishir's scandal was getting more and more heated. The internet was flooded with denunciations of Yun Shishir, the third party, with the intention of using public opinion to drive her out of showbiz. Yun Shishir, you shameless vixen. Get out of showbiz quickly and stop embarrassing yourself in front of us. Boycott all products endorsed by Yun Shishir and Lethal Beauty. There's definitely something wrong with a woman with such low morals acting in a TV series. That's right. I don't know what famous directors like Lin Fengtian and Gu Xiaoyang are thinking. How could they invite a woman like Yun Shishir to act in a TV series? Aren't they afraid of tarnishing their work? That's disgusting. I felt nauseous the whole night after finding out about this. Because of my own feelings, I've also been involved with a third party before, so I hate third parties to the core. There are scourges like Yun Shishir among women. That's why so many innocent girls have their hearts broken. The more Yu read, the angrier he became. He was actually very happy to see his mommy leave showbiz, but he would never allow her to be driven out of showbiz in such a manner. More than that, he would not allow anyone to tarnish his mommy's reputation. At the thought of this, he immediately contacted Li Hanlin and ordered him to investigate Gao Nan's background. Half a quarter of an hour later, Li Hanlin reported everything he knew about the man to him. His uncle is Wang Chuande. Wang Chuande was the CEO of Wank Real Estate. Although he had never dealt with him before, he knew that the man was a formidable figure. Still, Gao Nan, who was related to him by blood, had such a disgusting face. Director Yun, did Gao Nan do something to offend you? Humph. That man has offended me more than just a little. Yu continued expressionlessly. He's completely pissed me off. Wang Chuande, right? Even if I have to offend him, I won't let Gao Nan off. Hamlin, send a car to pick me up immediately. Yes. After hanging up the phone, Yu pretended to leave. Xiao Yichen immediately followed behind and asked, "Where are you going?" "I have something to do." "Don't follow me." "I won't." Xiao Yichen walked in front of him angrily, looking frustrated. "You're going to handle this alone again and leave me at home." "Why can't I go?" "Mu Yichen, I'm warning you, once I get angry, I'm not the usual Yunti on you. Don't follow me. There are some things that you can't get involved in." "Why can't I?" Xiao Yichen was so agitated that his face turned red. "You're my younger brother. What can you do but I can't? You must be looking for Gao Nan, right? I'm with you, I have to protect you." "I don't need your protection." Mu Yichen said firmly, "You need it. Because I'm your brother." Yu was stunned. He looked at him blankly before his lips curled into a smile. "Okay, I got it. If you're not afraid of being led astray by me, then follow me." "Humph. You're kidding. My younger brother isn't bad." Only then did little Yichen smile and hold his hand. The two lads walked out of the study with their arms around each other's shoulders, only to see Mu Yaja sitting elegantly on the sofa in the living room with his legs crossed. His aura was domineering. Chapter 26:30. The two boys were probably immersed in their anger over the video of the press conference, so they did not notice the commotion outside the door. Mu Yaja, with his arms crossed, sized them up calmly, his deep, handsome eyes scrutinizing them. "Where are you going?" His sudden question caught the two little lads off guard. Yu did not want him to know that he was going to settle scores with Gao Nan, so he pursed his lips and turned his head away. Mu Yaja's scrutinizing gaze landed on Xiao Yichen. Xiao Yichen had always experienced his imposing manner, so with just one look, he immediately lowered his head guiltily and stammered, We're going to sunbathe." He was not good at lying. Whenever he wanted to lie, his face would turn red and his mind would go blank. No matter how he tried to lie, it sounded lame. "Oh," Mu Yaja replied. "Sun. I think the sun has set." Yu stomped on his foot harshly, exasperated at his son's failure to live up to his expectations. Xiao Yichen endured the pain and did not make a sound as he shot him a resentful look. However, Mu Yaja asked faintly, "Are you guys going to look for Gao Nan?" It was not a question, but a statement. "How did you know?" "I saw the torn newspaper on the floor." Mu Yaja saw the newspaper, and with just one glance, he knew that Yu had begun to pay attention to this matter. Given his understanding of his son's character, whenever someone bullied his mommy, he would immediately investigate the person's background thoroughly. Then, he would return an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and return the grievances his mommy had suffered 1,000 times over. Yu was like that. He could not bear to see his mommy suffer even a little. Mommy has been slandered as a third party. "Don't you know about this?" Mu Yaja hummed expressionlessly. "I know." "You know about this?" Yu was extremely shocked. She went up to him angrily and asked, "Since Daddy knew about this, why didn't he do anything?" Are you just going to watch mommy get slandered and wronged? I've been preparing. Prepare for what? Muyaja suddenly grabbed his chin and whispered a few words into his ear. Yu Yu's face instantly froze. His anger dissipated and was replaced by a look of utter astonishment. Daddy, are you really going to announce this? Yes. Xiao Yichen didn't hear anything and immediately ran over curiously. With a strange expression, he asked, "What did Daddy say?" "Humph, I'm not telling you." Yu Yu also started to keep her in suspense. Xiao Yichen was instantly flustered. Yu Yu pushed him aside in disdain and turned to ask, "Then, Daddy, are you going to let Gao Nan off just like that?" "Of course not." Mu Yaja had investigated this matter. He even found out that Gao Nan had threatened his wife with the condition of being a mistress. As the emperor of Huanyu, he had many eyes and ears in the entertainment industry. With his extensive influence, he could find out exactly what had happened that night. It wasn't as if there were no witnesses at the scene. A waiter who passed by the washroom had heard the intense argument between the two. Even now, Gao Nan was still coveting his woman. As a man, this was definitely an intolerable provocation. Then, why haven't you dealt with him yet? Chapter 26:31. It's so boring to just deal with it. Mu Yaja cursed inwardly for a while before his lips curled into a sinister smile. My good son, have you thought of any fun tricks? Yu Yu racked his brains for a long time before his eyes lit up and he laughed sinisterly. Even Mu Yichen, who was watching from the side, could not help but feel a chill run down his spine and up his spine from the bottom of his feet. Daddy, do you know that there's a saying, you'll have to swallow 1,000 needles if you lie? The night was dark. In the villa's huge bedroom, the sound of a man and a woman panting to their heart's content could be heard. The battle lasted for a long time before it finally ceased. Another half an hour later, the door finally opened. An exquisitely dressed woman walked out. Although she was dressed modestly, her messy hair showed just how intense the battle had been. Gao Nan walked out of the bathroom and leaned against the door. He looked at the woman's back as she fixed her hair in front of the dressing mirror and raised a brow. You're leaving already? Yes. It's getting late. I'll give you a lift. No need, I've already driven. The woman looked back and smiled as she twirled the keys in her hand. This Audi R8 was a birthday gift from Gao Nan a few days ago. He smiled and tried to persuade her to stay. At least, have a drink with me before you leave. The woman saw through his thoughts and snorted. Do you want me to stay here for the night because I can't drive after drinking? He smiled. Why? You don't want to. I really can't today. She said solemnly. Gao Nan's face quickly sank. His cold expression showed just how displeased he was at the moment. The woman immediately walked up to him and lazily hooked her arm around his shoulder. She then said coquettishly, I really can't tonight. I have an appointment with a few sisters to play cards. I can't stand you up. Tomorrow. Tomorrow night, okay. You won't have this chance tomorrow. There will be another woman replacing you. He said it so coldly that it sounded like a threat. Startled, the woman hugged his shoulder and kissed him repeatedly. Darling, don't be like this. It's not that I don't want to accompany you. I'm just afraid that if I'm late, the paparazzi will be waiting for news like last time. When that happens, I'll be staying here for the night again. You'll definitely be troubled. He did not say anything, but he silently agreed to her words. The woman left reluctantly after a deep kiss with him. Losing interest, Gao Nan slowly walked to the bar counter and pulled out an aged bottle of dry red wine. Just as he was about to open it, the doorbell rang. He raised his eyebrows suspiciously, thinking that this woman had thought it through and came back to look for him. Thus, he lazily walked to the door and opened it, but there was no one outside. Just as he was about to close the door, it was blocked by a small, tender hand. Startled, Gao Nan immediately lowered his head to look, only to see a well-dressed little lad standing at the door with a smile on his face. His posture was refined and elegant. Sorry to disturb. Disturbing. Gao Nan frowned and coldly asked, "Who are you?" As soon as he said that, Yu pushed the door open a wider gap. Gao Nan was surprised to see a boy slightly taller than him standing beside him. Although their facial features were identical, the aura they exuded was different. Chapter 2632. Where did this kid come from? Yu politely asked, "Can we come in?" "What for?" Gao Nan was flustered. He did not have the leisure to deal with two homeless children. Losing his patience, he moved to close the door, but Mu Chen was even more impatient. Seeing that he was about to close the door, he kicked it open. Gao Nan was caught off guard and fell to the ground from the impact. Mu Chen's strength was so terrifying that cracks appeared on the high-quality solid wood door. Yu gracefully walked in. "Sorry to disturb you." Mu Chen entered the room as well, but his expression was no longer friendly. Like a lion cub, he glanced at him coldly from the corner of his eyes. Unable to contain his anger, he lunged forward and grabbed the lapel of his bathrobe. Clenching his fists, he was about to land a punch on his face. Behind him, however, came the man's cold voice. "Xiao Chen, don't mess around." "Daddy." Xiao Chen pouted and glanced at the door. "I don't have the patience to talk nonsense with him. Let's beat him up first." Gao Nan was at a loss as to why the two children had barged into his house. He did not know what kind of capabilities these kids had to be able to come here and spout nonsense. However, when he heard Mu Chen's words, he followed his line of sight to the door. Mu Yaja slowly walked in and closed the door indifferently. Perhaps it was because he was lying on the ground, but at that moment, the tall and slender man's image suddenly towered in Gao Nan's eyes. He was like an insurmountable mountain that buried him in the dark shadows. "Mu Yaja, why are you here?" Mu Yaja coldly curled his lips into a playful smile. "Are you surprised to see a stray dog like me?" A stray dog? How did he know that Gao Nan had been criticizing him behind his back? Ever since Mu Yaja stepped down from the Mu group, Gao Nan had been teasing him and calling him a stray dog. This was an undeniable fact. What he did not know was that Mu Yaja was the founder of Xingyu Financial Group. How did you? Before Gao Nan could finish his words, he suddenly realized something. It was as if a taut nerve in his brain had snapped. He looked at the child who was grabbing his lapel and compared it to Mu Yaja's face. Suddenly, he understood something. This is his child. Upon closer inspection, this child's eyebrows and eyes look very similar to Yun Shishir. Is this their child? Gao Nan sucked in a breath of cold air in shock. Yun has a child. What? What do you want? Mu Chen, let him go, Mu Yaja ordered. Mu Chen refused to let go. The man sighed, walked over, and held the angry little guy in his arms. Mu Chen struggled for a while, but Mu Yaja immediately stopped him. Be good. Mu Chen reluctantly learned to be obedient. Mu Yaja walked over and sat down on the sofa with Mu Chen in his arms. Then, he whispered in his ear, "Little fool, we're only responsible for watching the show today." Xiao Chen. Chapter 2633. After a moment of shock and anger, the corners of his lips twitched. "Young Master Mu, what are you doing? Why did you bring your family to my house?" "Uncle Gao, on account of your uncle being the CEO of Wenk Group, Wang Chuanda, can I give you a piece of advice?" Advice? The more Gao Nan listened, the more incredulous he found it. He could not help but laugh in anger. "What kind of attitude are you using to talk to me?" Yu blinked gently and did not say a word, only looking at him. Gao Nan continued. You said you want to give me a piece of advice. Hee, I'm all ears. You can tell me what advice you want to give me. I've seen the video of that press conference. Uncle Gao, you're really thick-skinned. You didn't even blink when you lied. Still, if you hold a press conference tomorrow to clarify this matter, I won't hold it against you. His soft and innocent voice was clear and pleasant to the ear. Yu Yu's voice was still as childish as Su Rian's, but it was very pleasant to the ears. The man laughed out loud. Are you ordering me around? Yes. He admitted it directly. I don't intend to discuss this with you. You have to do this because a good child shouldn't lie. Gao Nan was stunned for a moment before he laughed contemptuously. What right do you have to order me around? After a pause, he glanced at Mu Yaja from the corner of his eye. Just because you're a stray dog for a father. A stray dog. Yu looked at Mu Yaja in surprise and then burst into laughter. The latter's face instantly turned ashen. Daddy, why did he say that you're a stray dog? Mu Yaja did not reply. Gao Nan coldly said, Daddy. Hee, what a childish way of addressing me. He did not want to argue with a child, so he turned to Mu Yaja and said coldly, Mu Yaja, I used to respect you because you were the CEO of the Mu Group and the rightful successor of Dishing Financial Group. At that time, you were really in a prominent position. You don't even put my uncle in your eyes. In front of you, he's as obedient as a grandson. When you show off your strength to him, he doesn't even dare to fart. Due to my uncle's prestige, I had no choice but to obediently lower my head to you. But in my heart, I have never been convinced by you. Who do you think you are? You're just born a little better than me. Other than that, you're more capable than me. But other than that, what else do you have that's better than me? After a pause, he sneered again. But what's that saying again? As the saying goes, every dog has its day. You're no longer the CEO of Mu Group. You're no longer as glorious as you used to be. You're also no longer the future successor of Mu Group that everyone respects. I heard that you were expelled from the Mu family. How is it? How did it feel to fall from the peak to the bottom of the abyss overnight? Wasn't it humiliating? I don't know how miserable your life is right now, but your woman has been wronged, and you actually brought 2 stray dogs to me to get to the bottom of it. Hee. Who do you think you are now? What can you do to me? Mu Yaja was not angered by his blatant humiliation. Instead, he smiled elegantly and said unhurriedly, You're right about one thing, but you're also wrong about another. What do you mean? Gao Nan did not understand what he meant. Chapter 26:34. What do you mean? I used to have a prominent status, and your uncle was as obedient as a grandson whenever he saw me. This is true. Every dog has its day, and now that I'm down and out, I'm no longer as glorious as I used to be. This isn't right. Gao Nan was dumbfounded. Mu Yaja looked at him coldly. Suddenly, he gave him a deep smile with a hint of devilish charm in his eyes. That's because I'm even more glorious than before. Do you think that I can't do anything to you just because I'm no longer the Mu Group CEO? You seem to be a little naive. I hope you understand one fact, even if you die in my hands today, your family won't blame it on me. Gao Nan was exasperated. What *T are you spouting? Yu was also getting impatient. Gao Nan, at the end of the day, you just don't want to clarify this matter, right? You don't have the right to speak here. Yu's face darkened when he heard that, and his eyes turned sharp. In the next second, Mu Yichen jumped down from Mu Yaja's lap, walked up to him, and raised his head to ask, Then, may I ask why my brother doesn't have the right to speak? Before Gao Nan could respond, Mu Yichen's eyes turned cold as he delivered a karate chop to his knee at lightning speed. The man let out a muffled groan as his eyes turned ferocious. In the next second, his legs gave way, and he fell to his knees. Pain. It was an extraordinary pain. He did not know how much strength this lad had used, but when his hand chopped at his knee, he actually heard the sound of bone cracking. Kneel and talk. Gao Nan glared at him fiercely. Are you kidding me? You want me to kneel before a child? Is that even possible? He got down on one knee, and his body swayed for a while before he tried to stand up. When Mu Yichen saw this, he lifted his leg and gave him another kick. With a crack, the man's leg joint was broken. Disregarding his poise, he groaned as he hugged his knees and fell to the ground. Mu Yichen coldly took a step forward, lifted his leg, and stomped hard on the man's knee. The broken part was crushed by gravity again, and the man broke out in a cold sweat from the pain. Must you suffer a little before you become obedient? Yu suddenly stood up and walked to his side. She squatted down and patted his cheek with her little hand. She frowned in confusion. Am I too gentle with you? Is that why you don't take me seriously? You. What are you trying to do? Asked the man through gritted teeth. You bullied my mommy. Can't I bully you back? Yu sneered and looked him up and down. Her beautiful eyes narrowed into two crescent moons. Let's play a game, okay? Although the lad had an elegant smile on his face, his eyes were too gloomy. It was not a look a child should have. Gao Nan's lips quivered in disappointment. He could not help mocking the lad inwardly. He had lived for so long, yet he had never been frightened by a child's gaze. Yu asked airily, do you know that if a person lies, he or she has to swallow 1,000 needles? What? I used to wonder how a person would react if he or she swallowed 1,000 needles. It must be very interesting, right? Do you want to give it a try? Gao Nan retreated in shock. He suddenly felt that the child in front of him was terrifying. Chapter 26:35. Yu furrowed his brows and pouted. It's better for you to cooperate. If you struggle, you'll suffer a lot, and the gains won't make up for the losses. You. Don't mess around. Gao Nan panicked all of a sudden. It was true that this was a child of about 6 or 7 years old, which was still very young, but from the sharp look in his eyes, it did not seem like he was joking. He subconsciously looked at Mu Yaja, only to see Mu Yichen walking up to him and strangling him from behind. Gao Nan struggled violently, but Mu Yichen did not give him the chance to do so. Using his hand as a knife, he viciously chopped at his shoulder. With a clear sound of dislocation, he actually dislocated Gao Nan's shoulder joint. Ah! Gao Nan cried out in pain as cold sweat drenched his back. Alas, Mu Yichen did not give him any chance to breathe. With another crack, he twisted Gao Nan's elbow and twisted it into a weird angle. Gao Nan was completely powerless to struggle. Mu Yichen grabbed his hair and, without knowing where his strength came from, Gao Nan felt himself being thrown to the ground. With a loud bang, the back of his head hit the ground hard, and his brain was in turmoil. At that moment, he was completely flustered. He suddenly realized that, although it was hard to believe, these two children were not easy to deal with. This was especially so when he saw Yu take out a small box from his pocket and gently open it. Inside were silver needles of varying thickness, some were pins, some were thumbtacks, and some were very small needles. He carried the box to Gao Nan, squatted down in front of him, and smiled with narrowed eyes. Then, the game shall begin. No. Don't. Gao Nan shook his head desperately. His eyes widened in panic as he finally understood what fear was. He immediately begged for mercy. No. This game isn't fun at all. I won't play with you. You don't have the final say in this. No, I'll die. Perhaps it was because he had one foot in the jaws of death that he finally understood the seriousness of the matter. As a man, his eyes turned red from fear and he immediately said, "I promise you. I promise you. I'll hold a press conference tomorrow and explain everything to the public." That day. Everything I said that day was a lie. I was just playing along with Ji Yan's act. I was just trying to smear Yun Shishir's reputation because I couldn't get her. "I can say whatever you want, so, let me go, okay?" His frantic pleading did not elicit any response from Yu Yu. He furrowed his delicate eyebrows and tilted his head in distress. "What should I do? I've already changed my mind. Even if you immediately hold a press conference, I still won't forgive you. Mr. Mu. Mr. Mu." Gao Nan immediately struggled to turn around and beg Mu Yaja for mercy. From the corner of his eye, he saw the man calmly taking out a cigarette box. With a flick of his wrist, the man put a cigarette in the corner of his mouth and quietly lit it. He slowly took a puff and turned a blind eye to the man's cries for mercy. Chapter 26:36. "Baby, be gentler." Mu Yaja finally opened his mouth to speak, but his tone was extremely sinister. "Don't go overboard. Know when to stop, okay? Got it, Daddy." Yu Yu smiled obediently, looking like an elegant little gentleman. However, in Gao Nan's fearful eyes, this child with a warm smile was as terrifying as a little demon. Gao Nan watched as Xiao Yichen walked up to him, grabbed his chin, and pinched his cheeks, forcing his mouth wide open. Yu Yu held a box in one hand and a suture needle in the other as he slowly approached him with a smile. "Ah. Ah." In the middle of the night, an ambulance rushed into the hospital. A group of medical staff nervously carried out a trembling patient from the ambulance. Several doctors were already waiting at the entrance. Earlier, someone had called the police to report that someone had accidentally swallowed a silver needle and called for help. The doctors on duty were puzzled. Accidentally swallowed a silver needle. They had been doctors for so many years, and they had seen many ignorant children swallow many strange things by mistake. However, an adult, and a mentally sound adult at that, actually swallowed it by mistake for a while. Could it be that he was mentally deranged? The patient who was sent to the hospital was none other than Gao Nan. His body was stiff as he lay on the stretcher, and his muscles were twitching non-stop. The doctor's initial diagnosis was that the patient was suffering from epilepsy. However, when he was sent to the emergency room and examined carefully, he was shocked to find that the reason why the patient was trembling was because his joints had been severely dislocated. In some places, there were even signs of dislocation, which affected his nerves. That was why he was trembling. The most shocking thing, though, was the patient's mouth. It was a ghastly sight, dripping with blood. His lips, tongue, and oral cavity were pierced with silver needles of different lengths. Some pierced through the tip of his tongue, while others pierced through the oral cavity. At a glance, it was truly chilling. It was hard to imagine how painful it was to have so many needles pierced through the mouth. The treatment of the wound was relatively simple. After all, it was not a major injury. As long as the needle was slowly pulled out, the bleeding was stopped, disinfected, and medicine was applied, there would be no major problems. However, the right wrist was obviously fractured, the left kneecap was cracked, and there were different contusions on the knee. The specific details would require a CT scan to understand the extent of the injury. Just as the doctor was about to push him into the X-ray room, the patient on the bed suddenly screamed and groaned. His facial features were distorted as he cried out in pain, "It hurts. Ah, it hurts." The doctors thought that the pain was caused by a fracture. The nurse comforted him for a while, but the man suddenly straightened up. With a ferocious look in his eyes, he tugged at the doctor's sleeve and said with difficulty, I swallowed 3 needles. Take them out. Take them out." As soon as his voice fell, it seemed that he had used too much force, and he vomited another mouthful of blood. The doctors were shocked and immediately realized the seriousness of the matter. They began to examine him, only to realize that the man did not dare to speak because there was a very small needle in his throat. After the examination, they found that there were 2 more needles in his esophagus and stomach. If they did not handle it properly, his life would be in danger. Chapter 26:37. Gao Nan was immediately wheeled into the operating room. The surgery went on for an entire night before he barely made it through. Yu did not use too much force this time and did not make him swallow 1,000 needles. However, this incident caused Gao Nan's instinctive fear whenever he saw sharp objects. Of course, this was all in the future. Gao Nan was injured and hospitalized. The next day, the Gao family hurried to the hospital, but Gao Nan did not say anything in the face of their questions. He dared not say anything. He was truly afraid of the father-son trio from the bottom of his heart. They were too scheming and vicious. They dared to do what they said. This was especially true for that child named Yu, who was simply a little devil. Of course, Gao Nan did not dare to say anything. He only said that his throat was in severe pain and that he needed to rest. On the 3rd day of his hospitalization, Wang Chuanda came. The moment he arrived, he dismissed everyone in the Gao family, saying that he had something to talk to Gao Nan alone. As soon as he closed the door, he turned around and sat in front of the bed. With a worried expression, he said, "Didn't I tell you to keep a distance from Mu Yaja? I even warned you that you are not allowed to have any ideas about his woman. What about you? Did you turn a deaf ear to my words?" Gao Nan lay on the bed with his eyes closed and brows furrowed, but he did not speak. Wang Chuanda continued, "Do you think that Mu Yaja is really a stray dog, and has nothing left after leaving the Mu Group? Don't you know that he's the behind-the-scenes boss of Xingyu Financial Group, which has just been listed recently? Do you know that the Mu Group is now gnashing their teeth in hatred whenever they hear his name? Most of the Mu Group's resources are in his hands. Now that he's gone, he's leaving without looking back. At the same time, he's taking the Mu Group's core resources with him. What do you have to fight with him?" This was the first time Gao Nan had heard of this matter. He knew about Xingyu Financial Group but did not pay attention to it. Hence, he did not know that the behind-the-scenes boss was Mu Yaja. How is that possible? His throat was injured, so he could only utter some broken syllables. When Mu Yaja left the Mu Group, many core technical talents followed him to Xingyu. Some even abandoned their million-yuan annual salaries and jumped ship. Most of the senior figures left with him, leaving the Mu Group an empty shell. Do you think the Mu Group is still as glorious as before? Ha! As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. I think Mu Group will soon be on its last legs. Gao Nan's eyes. I know that you'll fall for a woman sooner or later. Don't you know that there's a femme fatales? Because, if you like them, they're your too. It's you women, but not use, Mu. What mattered was that those who were willing to take the bait could not be forced. Who do you think you are? There's always someone better than you. There are countless men in the country who are more capable than you. You're to blame for thinking too highly of yourself. Gao Nan did not speak from beginning to end. Wang Chuanda glanced at his nephew and sighed. Fortunately, I've settled this matter for you. As long as you don't go looking for trouble with Yun Shishir, Mu Yaja won't pick on you.